Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. And today we bring you match day live as Tottenham. I usually say welcome, but I'm not going to say welcome because they're not. So Tottenham host West Ham in a London derby, aka Bubbin Enthusiasts, Tin Pot Cry Merchants, aka the Irish Hotspur Derby, aka Catch Me If You Can. I cannot wait for this game today. We've got Jacko, Philip, Brady, James, and there'll be one more joining us very, very shortly to help us get pumped up for today's game. Jacko, how are you keeping, my man?
The bubble blower derby, Dave, the Irish Hotspur derby. They're here nice and early to get another lesson from the big H, from also yourself, the other big H, Dave, because this is a derby very close and near and dear to you. So I look forward to this, look forward to even just the watch along the whole day itself, Dave, because it is, as a lot of people like to put it, sort of the little brother maybe to Spurs, even though we don't like to acknowledge that even the little brother exists at all and don't even probably want to look at it in the face. It's the day that we have to and just teach it another lesson.
Yeah, look, you got to. It's all about teaching them lessons at the end of the day, Jack. It's their cup final. Hopefully, they end up losing it. No losers' medals or participation medals, only winners. Winners only. But James, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, very well. Very much looking forward to this one. Buzzing to be back on the channel, obviously. It's been a little while, but yeah, like you were saying, cup final. I thought it was next week, but West Ham fans think it's today. So yeah, be interesting to see how that one pans out.
Oh, stop. I cannot wait. And of course, the one and the only Godfather, Mr. Brady. How are you keeping, sir?
Yeah, great. It's a day like today. I wish I had shares in Fairy Liquid because, the bubbles, they'll be selling lots of them down the high road today to the West Ham fans on the way, So let's and put the price up, lads. Charge them double for every tin you buy, you sell, and make the day even more miserable than it's going to be at 6 o'clock this evening.
Big day for the security and the stewards, Philip. I imagine toy hammers, a lot of bubble sticks they have to, confiscate, before the game. They're, not an easy game for them either.
Yeah, that's true. But at least they won't have to wash their hair afterwards. It'll be covered in bubbles anyway,
Absolutely love it. And guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've brought back out the lucky jersey. I've actually noticed something when I woke up this morning. So I put the two jerseys out there and I was sitting there over a bowl of Weetabix. And I was looking at them. I was like, what one will I wear? And then I realized since Christmas I've been wearing the new one and we haven't really won any games. So I brought back out the lucky jersey, guys, so we have it on today. Now, before we get into it, let's welcome some people into the stream, tell everybody everything they need to know, and then let's talk Tottenham. So we've got Stevie Fraser in the house, and he says, what stats? I better be careful what I say today. Don't want to get into trouble. I know there's such Irish Hotspur enthusiasts over there to be watching every bit of movement I make. Got to be a bit careful. Big up Spurs related, aka James's channel, but big up Stevie Fraser. Good to see you. Fast Radfire says, big up lads, winning today and against Chelsea will put us in a commanding position. Let's kickstart again. Come on, you Spurs. Win today. It should put us inside top 4, my man. Sue Smith says, can't see us getting anything against Chelsea. We never do. So today's a must win. No excuses. Absolutely. Good to see you in, Sue Smith. Henry Left TV says, afternoon, everyone. Win today and back in the top 4. Not sure if this is a parody account or not.
Henry Left.
Big up, Hermitron. Good to see you in the building, my man. I hope you are keeping well. King Hogler, good to see you. This is an absolutely must win game. Liverpool are getting players back and Newcastle remain a threat. A draw won't appease me and a loss is catastrophic. We need a similar show of character. 100% it's got to be a win today, especially after the last two results. AC Milan, Leicester, it has to be a win. Nick Hermanock, good to see you in the build, my man. I hope you're keeping well. You've got the Lewis Parks says, big up David and Jack, confident of a good result for us today. Absolutely love that. And I know there's a lot of people going to the game today, so please enjoy yourselves out there. Adrian Srocker says, good afternoon all. Eagerly looking forward to see Spurs put a nail in West Ham's relegation coffin. We've got Phil Coy says, good day to you both. Let's hammer the hammers today. A tight 2-1 win, I think. Let's go. Absolutely love that. Big up Daniela Zito says, come on, you Spurs, let's get at them from minute 1 and not relent after we score 1 goal. Absolutely. Just keep going at them. All Green 216, good afternoon. Hope you are keeping well. We've got Sarr A says, today win takes us over top 4 today. Swimming pool is coming too. take that top 4 spot as well. And enjoy the swimming pool, my man. Next we've got Mia W. Hello, everyone. Massive game today. Big up, Mia. Good to see you in the building. It's absolutely huge. Faz is pumped off the intro music. Jack saying that the security guards have a big job on their hands today. Swimmaster says, win today. No excuses. Absolutely. We've also got Wayne Bonner. He says, good afternoon, all. Hope everyone's well and looking forward to us smashing the Spammers 4-0. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Wayne. Jack, too. How are you keeping, my man?
I'm doing well. Better to be on this channel. You know what? I've just been in Milan. Fans were amazing. Not great results recently, but I'm doing well, thank you.
No, it's good to have you, my man. Good to have you. I've seen the match day blog, actually. It was a very good one. Really enjoyed it. Although you were very far back. I mean, you probably need binoculars. In fact, should have texted some West Ham fans. Should have asked them for their London Stadium starter pack. You needed that going out to the San Siro. But look, we big up Moondog. Good to see you in the building as well. Who else have we got with us? Johnny Stokes. Good to see you, my man. I hope you're keeping well. Same as you, T.O. Isaac. Come on, you Spurs. Who else have we got? Don't like missing anyone. Big boss man with a big whoa! Big up, my man. Hope you're keeping well. Foggy Foam as well. Great to see you. Kerry King, it's been a while. Great to see you as well. Dan Coy says, they can disappoint us, ruin our day, but still, every time Spurs are playing, I forget all that and look forward to the game off to the lane later as well. Absolutely love that. I'm the exact same, my man. I am the exact same, you know. They can hurt me over and over again. I'm still always going to be here ready for the next game. Big up, Marlon Green. Good to see you in the house. Hope you're keeping well, Marlon. Great to see you. We've also got Welsh Gal. Choice of IPAs today. You need to let us know what the IPAs are, Welsh Gal. Good to see you in the building. Who else have we got here? John Fitzpatrick. Hope you're keeping well, my man. Hopefully you and family are doing well. Down under. Bit early for you, isn't it, John? Being down under, bit early. Big up Killian Kenny. Long time no see. Killian. Gabrielle won as well. Paddy Villa. Via says, big up, boys. Come on, Spurs. We need a bounce back today. That we do. We've got Tottenham LSG. Spammers are terrible. 2-1 Spurs. If we fail, I quit for the season. Look, I say that after every game, but I'm back here every single day after. Big up, Caracois. Good to see you in the house. And then we've got one more as well. Chris S. Jack is fired up for this one. Everyone's fired up for this one. And then we've got Greco Christos, Harry Kane. He's one of our own. Absolutely love that. And then we've got William Kelly as well. Good to see you, sir. Got your picture, by the way. It's looking good. I'll give you a phone call either later on tonight or tomorrow, my man. But it's looking good, William. He says, big up, boys. Let's get it down, or let's get it done. Game starts at 2:30 a.m. over here, but I'll be there with bells on. Come on, you Spurs. Nice late kickoff for you, William. 2:30 a.m. Look, you know, I don't know how you do it and then get up Monday morning for work. I really don't know how you do it, my man. But hopefully we can get the win for you. Hopefully it's not like last week where you wake up, you know, you watch the first half and after, you know, it's over and done with and you go back to bed. Hopefully you get to watch the full 90 today, William. But big yourself up, my man, and I'll make sure to give you a phone call either later on tonight or tomorrow, brother. But it is looking good. And for anyone that doesn't know what William's doing, he's making these big Spurs cockerels out of resin. And they're absolutely gorgeous, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous. But big up, William. And we've also got Rhode Island's finest in the house. Hope you're keeping well, my man. Hope you are keeping well. Now, for everything everybody needs to know, of course, kickoff is at 4:30 p.m. today at the best stadium in world football, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, one that we actually paid for ourselves, not one that was given to us like West Ham. In the referee, it is Michael Oliver. Look, I just want fairness today from a referee, if you want me to be brutally honest. I'm just asking for a bit of fairness. Not sure we're going to get it from Michael Oliver, especially when he's tag teamed in the VAR room by David Coote. I mean, that is an absolute recipe for disaster. I was only saying to Jack the other day, it's like they put these pairings together just to make sure decisions go against Tottenham. And then in the TV channels, if you want to watch it in the USA, it's on NBC Sports. And in the UK and Ireland, it is on Sky Sports. And the watch-along starts at 4 p.m. Tottenham's injuries, we've got Hugo Lloris, Bissouma, Session, and Bentancur all out. With West Ham, Lucas Paqueta, Maxwell Cornier, Scamacca, Kurt Zuma, Areola, Algard, Cresswell. They've got a lot of injuries. So hopefully that hopefully that works to our favour today. That would be absolutely unbelievable. But look, let's kick it off. We're going to start with the Godfather, the one and only Philip. London derbies. I've seen this great quote, by the way. London derbies are just like London buses. You wait a while for one, and then two come along together. As we have Chelsea next week, have they come around at a good time for Tottenham or a bad time? And what I mean by that is, can they inspire us, to maybe get out there, put a performance together, and maybe lift the camp up? Or do you think when you're out of form, it's harder, these games put more pressure on you?
No, I think it should be an inspiration to them. Like, I don't think any of us really expected us to get much from the Man City game. And look at that performance. We need a replication of that from today and next Sunday. But there's one thing very interesting about West Ham. Now, I don't normally look up their stats, but West Ham have got the 5th best defence in the Premiership, even though they're in the bottom 3. But they've only scored 19 goals. So, they're not going to give that much away today. We're going to have to be patient, I think. But the players really should be up for this because, we've got to counteract West Ham because it's their cup final. They don't play a bigger game all season than the 2 Tottenham games. For some reason, they think they're on our level, but, we all know they're not. Never have been. Blowing bubbles and plastic hammers is about the limit of their enjoyment this season, I think you could say. It's all the Gala games is a bit of fun with those things, So, no, I think today now is a day to put down the marker, both with the performance and the team selection, which is very important today. So I'm sure we'll come to that later on.
Yeah, no, we definitely will. And Jack, where are you at with these London derbies, my man? Do you believe that, could inspire the team today, that it get them going, or do you think it might have a negative effect? Because, look, we're a team, we don't do well with pressure, and we haven't done well in London derbies for quite some time.
Yeah, we haven't done well in London derbies in quite some time. West Ham does feel like maybe a slightly different story because even the time that we went to their stadium earlier this season, Dave, like I know we maybe were in probably better form or maybe in better spirits then, but I kind of thought we were slightly sort of robbed in that match. I remember we had made a really bad error for us to kind of get the draw in that. It didn't really feel like West Ham deserved very much from that game, I think, towards kind of even the end of it. So feels like maybe this is an opportunity to actually sort of right what could have been 3 points then. It could have actually been maybe a huge kind of momentum turner had we actually picked up 3 points at the London Stadium last time around. So this is a good opportunity for us. And also, even though you kind of say, Dave, right, that it's maybe not the best timing, or maybe it does sort of, ask a lot of the players. I feel like it is kind of, at this stage of the season, you do kind of need games like this because you kind of do just have to show up. And whether you show up or not sort of decides your season. And you kind of need games like this as that bit of that sort of reality check, as that bit of that sort of, kind of motivation to know that there are only so many games left. There's only so much of the season left, and every game has to absolutely matter. Usually these games are already supposed to be enough for them to kind of give their full effort. But considering, what's at stake, with the table, and also as well, the fact that these are London derbies, Dave, I feel like they just have to absolutely show up. If they don't, then honestly, I think they should get kind of prepared for, honestly, more weeks of hell from the Spurs fan base, if you ask me.
100%. Look, I don't blame the first Spurs fans if we don't win today. It'll be an awful bad period to go through. But James, do you see Spurs getting back to winning ways today, or is today, because it's ideal, to maybe repair a bit of a relationship with the fans, right? West Ham, London derby, it's ideal today.
Exactly. Perfect day to bounce back. 2 tough losses in 2 competitions where we've started to slow down. And West Ham, you saw it last season. Dave, I believe you were there, and Jack as well, when we won, and the West Ham get battered everywhere we go, in the stadium, the fans, the lift it gives. I think it would be a perfect time to get a nice win today. And I want it to be a convincing win as well, because obviously we've lost Bentancur for the rest of the season. Huge blow. I'm sure we'll get into that. But that midfield pairing is going to be a new one today. Højbjerg and Sarr, I believe, have played virtually no minutes together, so that's going to be a big moment, and it's huge, isn't it? And the midfield of the West Ham have, I'd say, it's probably their strongest part, Rice and Souček when they get going. So it's where the game's going to be won and lost today. I really do believe that. But like you said, perfect game today to win.
No, it definitely is. Definitely is. Just want to take a comment here from Leighton Evelyn. He says he's actually complimenting me. He's calling me a happy clapper. Thank you very much, Leighton Evelyn. I really appreciate the compliments. I didn't even get one off my missus today. So the fact that it's not even 1 o'clock and you have to give me a compliment, I really do appreciate it. Look, at the end of the day, my man, I could call you pessimistic. You come in every single game predicting Tottenham are going to lose. When in reality, we don't lose every single game. So, I could just flip that comment on the head, reverse it, and throw it straight back at you, my man. At the end of the day, if losing a game, getting up, coming into the next game, and wanting to win is a crime, then lock me up, throw a life sentence at me, and throw away the key, my man, because I will do it every single game. I do. I've had these conversations with you before. Don't understand why it's a big problem that I want to get behind the team. But anyway, thanks for the compliment. Really appreciate it, my man.
The thing is, just quickly, Leighton, what I'd say is I'd understand if he's predicting like a loss against Man City or like Arsenal in form. I mean, I've never predicted that anyway, but my point is like that. But West Ham, you look where they are in the league. They're near the relegation zone. Like, you've got to be backing us today. You've got to be backing us. This is a perfect time to think at home in their cup final. We'll be up for it. We love it. Get behind the team today.
When we win,
he just wants a happy clappers introduction from myself here. So Leighton, just a little happy clappers introduction, and I'll give you a happy clappers answer later, Leighton. He just wants a nice warm introduction from ourselves.
When we win, I'm always out there with binoculars. I'm grabbing them off the West Ham fan beside me. I'm looking for Leighton, and I can never ever find him when we win. Amazing that. But Jack, my man, Jack number 2, or else we'll call you Jack O. No, we'll call Jack Kanicki Jack Itch, and we'll call you Jack O just for today, so no one's confused.
Calling my true calling.
Perfect.
But Jack, same thing as James. I mean, no better day or no better time, with West Ham, Chelsea, the Cup game, AC Milan game, all coming close together. A good run could really, kickstart the end of the season, right?
100%, and I'm one of those fans. I am quite optimistic because I think that's the joy of being a Tottenham fan, the joys of being a football fan. You've always got to back your team. You want to win. It's the excitement. You see with Spurs, we can beat Manchester City. We can definitely overturn the leg against AC Milan. We've got the quality. In my opinion, we've got one of the best front threes in world football, albeit it's not been at the level this season with lots of things going in around the camp. But I still believe on their day, we can beat anyone. And today is no different. Today, we really need to turn up. The fans need to get behind everyone. Spurs' greatest ever goal scorer, Harry Kane, today is going to hopefully have a tifo, and we need everyone being in awe of him because we're so lucky to have a football player at our club. So I really hope there's more of a positive atmosphere around the club. It's all to play for this season, and I hope we start with a good performance today, and more importantly, a win that puts us into the top 4.
And another thing, just to add on to what you said, Jack, about, being positive, where we are, etc. Like, people forget, we're not having a great season, but we're still in 3 competitions. I know we're probably not going to win the Champions League, but Premier League, we have everything to play for. We have top 4. And then you've got the FA Cup. If we win that game, we're in the quarterfinals. I feel like this season, people are saying it's a bad season, and it may be worse than previous seasons recently, but actually, we're in competitions that we still have a very good chance and have everything to play for. So I think, we're not going to win the Premier League, and we're not going to probably win the Champions League, but what about the FA Cup? What about getting top 4? There's still goals to go for.
And what about getting behind a team to put on performances? That's what we need. There's Spurs. Every time I go to Tottenham, I believe that we can get a result because we have the players. It's a massive shame losing Bentancur because he's imperative to the way we play. But we saw Højbjerg and Sarr, Sarr and Skipp at the San Siro, and they were fantastic. Sarr looked a revelation in the midfield, and I've heard Skipp might be starting today. But we've got players that are capable of putting on a performance when there's a good mood around the club. Tottenham Hotspur are a hard team to beat.
No, 100%. And I always say, when Spurs' backs are really up against the wall and no one's happy with them or predicts a result, that's when they usually come up trumps the most, to be honest with you. Hopefully, but with Tottenham, sometimes they do like to inflict maximum pain, and hopefully we don't. Hopefully the AC Milan was the most pain we have to go through. Hopefully today we can turn it around. But we've got a super sticker here from the Dermatron. Jacko, do we know what it is?
Yes, let's pull it up here, Davo. He's just pointing up to the sky, number 1. Maybe also popping a bubble, perhaps, in the air as well, Dermatron is. He's found a bubble, in his vision. He's just deciding to pop it. Good man.
Imagine Dermo out there with his foggy foamy finger, getting the missus to blow bubbles, and Dermot's there like that right now, like this. Go Dermo.
Disrupts the vision, especially with the stadium we're in, Dermot. We're close to the action. We want to be seeing the game. We don't want to be seeing the bubbles in front of our face. Big yourself up. Big
up, Dermo. Really appreciate the support, brother. Dark. So G says, I love how Blues lost to Southampton with all that money. I mean, look, I actually hope to keep Potter, to be brutally honest with you. Said it was never going to work out. I told everyone he's not as magic as people made him out to be. He's got world-class players and his system's failing. I've always said this. It's different. it's a different story asking a guy from a lower league team to go into a big squad, because most of them players are looking at him like, I mean, I've got trophies to manage. Who the fuck are you? We plucked you out of Sweden. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, he doesn't have the respect of these bigger guys, whereas that smaller club, you've got the respect. These players want to make it. You know, if you buy players in that are hungry, that want to make a name for themselves, they'll do everything you ask them to do. At a bigger club, it's not like that. And I knew he was going to fail, Dark Sunji. And long may it continue, brother.
You have to admit, though, like compared to other managers, like after they lose, who kind of go like very stone-faced and like very poker-faced, like he looks so rattled and like so wide-eyed, like every single time he loses. He's like shit, nodding his head like 1,000 times. And like and what was that? Even after the game, like reporters asked him, like, "Do you get angry, Graham?" And you know, it's just very funny. Like,
Jack, I saw
I wonder if he's angry now.
I saw something on Twitter. It was like a comparison of when he joined looking all happy and then like a few months later, and he looks like he's been on the streets of Chelsea for 4 months. I mean, he looks absolutely unwell. So yeah, there's that. And I mean, Dave, you despise Potter at Brighton, so I hate to think how much you despise him now.
Look, do you know what? I love him now. He's doing what I want. You know, we're ripping Chelsea apart. He's my favourite manager in the league now. But no, look, you know, and you can clear to see he's got a stylist as well. You know, he doesn't look the same as he did at Brighton either. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. John Stokes says, hope Porro plays today. Want to see him get in gear. Well, look, John, we will be talking about that in a little while, my man, because the way I see it, right? Yeah, we're not creating going forward, so we need that creativity from the wing backs more than ever before. But we've also got a backline to protect. So it's kind of like, you know, it's one that I suppose, you know, people inside the camp will make the decision on what's best for them today. But I don't think it's just as easy as putting Porro out there, because, you know, you look what happened. No Emerson, no Romero against Leicester, and there's no one there to make any challenges. So it's not as easy as that, my man. But look, we'll get on to that. But I know where you're at. You want Porro. I understand that, my man. Dark Zone G says, last time this season we were on terrible form versus Hammers, while some was getting criticism then as well. Afterwards, we didn't we go on a run? Stellini, please win. Philip, we'll throw this one at you. Do you remember that last season?
Yeah, well, we're pretty much identical points-wise as we were the same week last season. So, yeah, we were going through a rough enough patch. Then we went on that run of, 10 wins in 14 matches or something. So it takes something to spark it, and a win in a local derby could actually do it, you know? Because okay, we've got Chelsea next week. Funny, I'd be at the moment the way that the teams are playing, I'd be a little bit more concerned about West Ham than Chelsea. With Declan Rice and Souček can be a difficult midfield to get up against. But yeah, I think we'll go on a run. Now, Stellini, you know, as you said earlier, David, he probably doesn't. He's probably doing what Conte tells him, really. But I do feel the players play with a little bit more freedom. They've done it against City, and maybe it's the fact they haven't got Antonio on the sideline screaming at them. That, you know, the players some players don't take well to being roared at during a match, especially if the crowd's roaring at them as well and getting on their back. So maybe the atmosphere will be important today. Don't let the West Ham fans start out singing them. You know, get the noise going and get the team up for the game, and we can go on a run, because after Chelsea, I think we've got the 2 cup games. Then we've got Nottingham Forest. We've got a reasonably good run coming up. So let's make the most of it today and get us going. And let's have something to smile about now for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Look, it stays like this where all you need is a little spark, and sometimes it just kickstart something in the squad, maybe just a little bit of confidence, you know, get them going. But Jack, anything you want to say, Dark Sun G here?
I responded Jackich, Dave. So how about you respond? How do you give that one to the other Jack? Yeah.
Jackich.
Jack, do you remember last season, maybe Sonny's dry spell at all? Like, you know, it's a little bit different this season, right? But do you remember any of the dry spells of Sonny last season?
This one for me, just to confirm.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm responding to Jack.
Yeah, I agree. At the start of the season, when Son wasn't scoring the goals that a lot of fans were saying that he hasn't got the same touch, he's not as comfortable with the ball at his feet, but he ended up winning the Golden Boot and was a revelation. So I'm hoping that this year Son can start rediscovering his form, but I'm also seeing a lot of fans hoping Richarlison comes in, and maybe I'm in that camp as well. But we've seen with Son this season on his heat map that we've seen, he's starting a lot deeper, and Conte when he was at Chelsea, made Hazard play that role. And Hazard, they're completely different players. In my opinion, Son's best football is when he's making runs in behind, he's driving at the fences, and he gets a yard of space and loves the finesse shot into the top corner. And I feel like he's not Conte's not utilising his strengths as much as he did last season. And I think he's being demanded too much. So I think maybe a bit of rotation for Son would benefit him more.
Do you not think it's just a case that he looks drained, he looks tired, and when we gave him that rest, the Leicester game, when was that? September, October, and everyone was complaining. A lot of people were complaining he got rested, and a lot of people were saying, perfect time. And he comes on, he scores a hat trick. I'm not saying that's going to happen every time, right? But my point is, do you not think? I mean, it's a rhetorical question. I think it's to do with the fact he looks absolutely shattered and absolutely knackered. I don't think it's tactics wise.
The key is though, against in that Leicester game you're talking about, we were on the front foot. That's where he was able to get on the ball, going at goals like Jacko said. And I said this the last couple of days, that I went back and looked at some of the games last season, especially the end part of the season where Son went on a mad run of scoring goals, and I look at it this season. Teams aren't letting Harry Kane drop deep anymore without marking him. Last season, they were thinking, okay, the further he is away from goals, brilliant. But what they didn't realise is Kane had that exceptional passing range.
That's true.
This season, anytime the ball goes into Harry Kane, watch him. He's battling with 1-2 players every single time, and he can't get turned, which then means Son has to drop deeper to be able to get on the ball. And his back is to go with the ball, whereas that's not Sonny's game. Sonny's game, like Jack says, is running in behind, putting balls in behind for him, getting them on the ball, running at defenders, not holding it up and laying it off. And but look, we're going to get into Sonny
Sure.
in a little while, because my feeling is just for a game or two, you need someone to come in that's just going to hold up the ball and be able to lay it off, just to get us up the pitch just a little while confidence is low. But Dark Sun G, my man, really appreciate the support, brother, and really appreciate it. Got two more to get to, and then I do want to move into a little bit on Antonio Conte. Dark Sun G says, I would hate to be a Blues fan this season. Come on, you Spurs. Look, I would absolutely hate to be a Chelsea fan this season, my man. But look, the way I see it is they do have a lot looking forward to going forward. Like, I do like the likes of Mudryk, Enzo Fernandez. They've got Reece James there, Badashile. There is a lot there going forward. My opinion is just a wrong manager, my man. But look, go on.
I was just when you mentioned Chelsea fans, I was on a train last night, and there was a Chelsea guy there wearing the Chelsea shirt. So I kind of, got not really talking to him, but I made a few comments to him, and he says, a bad result today. He said, yeah, I'm very depressed about a terrible result. And I said, don't worry, lads, you'll be twice as bad next Sunday when we beat you.
And we're at home as well, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
Keep your head up.
And then that's what GCS. Also, if Brighton are playing without Potter, it says it all.
Better, I think he means better without Potter.
Better. Yeah. They are. They're playing much better football without Harry Houdini.
What's more fascinating too is like the goal droughts that he had at Brighton, right, are still being carried over to Chelsea. Like, he has like basically almost like an entire, like a literal armory of players to pick from up front, and like he still is kind of continuing to struggle with creating goals, or the players are struggling with finishing. Remember, that was the old thing with Brighton. Maybe they just don't know how to finish. I mean, I'm not sure if these Chelsea players, pretty sure they know how to finish. Like, it's interesting. It is.
The people around the Premier League and stuff like that, they blow Potter up because he's English and he wants some English managers at the top of the Premier League. When you're seeing top managers from like La Liga coming over and taking bottom sides in the Premier League, the reason why is because they know the Premier League's where it's big money. They're better players in some of them teams than what they do in some of the top teams in La Liga. And, so in that sort of market, they need to have some English managers in the English game. So someone like Potter, they're always going to blow up, inflate. Look at him now. He's got a stylist. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But big up Dark Sun G, my man. Really.
And then also, Dave, last but not least, Leighton Evelyn, member for 6 months. He says, trust me, lads, I would love nothing more than a win, but the inconsistency of this squad and the back line is not enough. But when they make a mistake, sorry, I'll read that last part. But the inconsistency of this squad and the back line, when they make a mistake. I think he's just basically saying, Dave, it's hard to get behind the team basically with this sort of squad, the inconsistency of the results in that back line. And you do understand how you would be maybe less optimistic, less hopeful. But I also feel like, Leighton, in the same breath, doesn't mean you should rule your team out against every single opposition that you come up against.
Here's the thing. Right, I've highlighted the back line more than anybody else out there. I've been on the trail longer than anybody else out there about the back line. Like I highlight the deficiencies in this squad in Tottenham Hotspur quite a lot. But I've tried explaining to Leighton on game day, I believe we can win. You know, it's just the sort of fan I am. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like it. But, I always hope for the best. And, I shouldn't get called a happy clapper because I want Tottenham to win. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like I get we've got all these problems and I highlight them. But in football, anything can happen on any given day. And that's that at the end of the day. But big up, Leighton. I see where you're coming from. I understand why you view it the way you do. But all I'm asking is for that understanding back as well, my man.
Yeah.
Not
and
much.
then John's big up, Leighton. And it's a fair point you make, though, Leighton. John Stokes says, member for 12 months. He says, best Spurs fan YouTube channel for me. Big yourself up, Johnny. And he got reacquainted with his long-lost brother, it looks like, in the chat as well. There's another John Stokes. Says there's another Jack in the panel today. A lot of doubles here today. A lot of doubles. Big yourself up.
Love it. Big up, John Boy. I hope you're keeping well, my man. An absolute legend. Now, guys, we're going to speak a bit on Antonio Conte. I want you all to sort of have your say on this question. So, and look, I'm asking the questions. It's not my thoughts. It's not my beliefs. But I see the argument out there the last few days. So we're going to talk about it. Conte revealed on Thursday he will not return to work until he is fully recovered from his recent gallbladder surgery. And he has remained in Italy to recuperate. We have 15 weeks left of the season. I want to know where fans are at. Should we give Conte the time to recoup and come back and finish what he has started? Or should we look to cut ties as quick as possible and get a new guy in here so we can start building for next season? What we'll do is we'll start with Philip and we'll work our way around the panel.
Yeah. I think when Conte had that operation there a couple of weeks ago, the word emergency was never used. But emergency has now come into the Stellini's press conference here the other day where it was an emergency operation. If that's the case, then yes, he did come back too quickly. He should have stayed away. I'd say his family, who still live in Italy, I believe, are putting pressure on him to stay in Italy. And I love Conte to bits. I don't think he'll be with us come next July. I think that he'll let his contract run out and finish with us in July. I don't think we'll replace him in the meantime. But he'll probably come back in 2 or 3 weeks' time and carry on, do as best as we can until the end of the season. But I do feel we'll have a new manager in place by July or August. And whether that's Pochettino or not, I want to see Poch back at the club, but I don't want to see him back when some of the deadwood that got rid of him in the first place are still there. It just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
And Philip, if it is the case that, there is no commitment from him beyond this season, because look, for all we know behind the scenes, if they're willing to give him this rest time, there might be some sort of commitment or something they might have to do in order for him to commit into next season. But if that isn't the case, is it better that we just cut it now and start building for the next guy? Or
okay, you might get the new manager bounce if you do that, but I think we're in a situation at the minute where we're still top. We're still pushing for the top 4. We're still in 2 cups. We probably don't want any disruption now to keep that, because like if a new manager comes in, it doesn't play the wing back routine. Then we've got Porro and Destiny Udogie coming in. There's a lot of things to be considered who the new manager is, and it's a toss up. But I would say stick with Conte until the end of the season and don't make a change now. I think that might be detrimental to the club. But we definitely need to go big in the summer, whoever we get.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's absolutely crucial, regardless of who the manager is or if you want Conte on or whatever else. We've got to acknowledge that we do need another big summer transfer window. James, where are you at with it, my man, on the whole Conte situation?
So I've gone back and forward on this point for a while now, and I actually have to say I normally completely agree with Philip, but I actually disagree. I think I would honestly it's inevitable, right? Conte is not staying past this season unless a miracle happens, right? So my point is, we're going to be looking for a new manager at the end of the season. Now, I completely understand the point about, you know, give Conte the rest of the season. We'll let the new manager do his bit in the summer. I would honestly say at this point in the season, we haven't got high expectations. We've got top 4 looming, okay, which is going to be an absolute battle. But the way we're going at the moment, do we honestly think we're going to get top 4 if we take a step back and we look at what the results we've been picking up recently, and you look at Newcastle, you look at Liverpool now coming back into the fold? Do you really think we're going to get top 4 if we continue how we do? I don't think so, because we got it by the skin of our teeth at the end of last season. So my point is, I would honestly I can see it happening now. I think we'll get another couple of bad results. I don't think today, but I do think, you know, we've got another couple of bad results in us in the next month or so. And then Conte will either walk, or there'll be some mutual agreement where he goes ASAP. I mean, you've got Pochettino posting on Instagram that he's in London every day. There's the hint.
Yeah.
And I get the 5 at the back thing. I get that we've got wing backs. And I understand that you almost need a manager that's going to play at 5 at the back. However, I just think it's bonkers to just keep expecting us to get ridiculous luck that we did at the end of last season. It wasn't luck, it was class, but there was some luck involved in the fact that Arsenal completely bottled it, right? But I can't see us getting being honest, I can't see us getting top 4 if we continue like this at the moment. I think it's a free hit now. Give this new manager, whoever it is, 3 or 4 months to see what the squad's like, and then he knows exactly what he needs in the summer, rather than get a manager in the summer and be in the exact same position this time next year when we haven't recruited properly in the summer.
No, look, fair enough. I'll give my opinions on it shortly. I'm a little bit different, but I do hear the arguments, and I do acknowledge. But I'll give my thoughts in a minute. Like I said, Adrian Chia says, "Big up, lads! I tried to hire Lee Mason for today's script." The referee, yeah, big up, my man. Look, hopefully it's a nice, easy script for us today. Honestly, I think people can see I'm getting a bit more animated on these watch-alongs because I can't stand losing. So hopefully we can get the win today, my man.
Knowing Adrian, he won't do that. Knowing Adrian, he won't do that. He won't make it easy for you.
I love it. And Leighton Evans says, Dave, if we are going to sack him at the end of the season, then there is no point taking with him. I'm not Conte out. It's how poor this club is run. Do you know what, Leighton? Look, like I said, I'm going to let the other two Jacks in, Jack and Jacker, in here first to have their say on it. And look, I'll come back to this later and I'll give my thoughts. But, you know, Jacko, we'll go with you and then we'll let Jack Hitch in. You know, Leighton, he's not Conte out, but he sees the reason on, you know, why keep persisting until the end of the season with a guy that's gone anyway. Where are you at with the whole Conte situation, my man?
To be honest, I'm very split. I go back and forth. I admire Antonio Conte. I think he's a fantastic manager. I was over the moon when we signed him, when we managed to get him over the line. And I thought this was going to be a revolutionising move. I thought he was the manager that can compete with Guardiola and Klopp and finally get Spurs that trophy. He's almost the modern-day Mourinho, in my opinion. But I just feel like right now, Tottenham fans and the Tottenham players want to feel wanted. And right now, I think everyone is kind of, we don't know where we're at with Antonio Conte. He's had a lot of personal troubles, and people should never underestimate the importance of losing family members and close friends, because that is terrible. And I just feel like right now, maybe his heart's in it with Italy fans, with his family at home, and maybe he needs that time away from Tottenham. But I just don't know if maybe it's 4 weeks, 5 weeks is going to be long enough. And I feel like it might need to be a mutual agreement where we're like, Antonio Conte, thank you for your service, but we know your heart's in it with Italy. And maybe we do need to start. I think we saw how quickly Erik ten Hag got Manchester United playing well with them. And I feel like Tottenham might need a similar rebuild. And I think who can get the best out of this current squad? I think someone like Pochettino really can. I think we still got fantastic players. Players adore Pochettino, just like I'm sure they do with Conte. And I feel like we need a bit of free-flowing attacking football back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And I think we're still in 3 competitions, a winnable Champions League tie, and definitely a chance of a trophy. It would be a magical fairy tale story, which we don't always see if Pochettino comes over and takes in, and we do finally get that trophy this season. Yes, I'm looking at it through rose-tinted glasses, but I do still believe there's a lot to play for. And I feel like maybe stopping, I feel like we're stopping the inevitable. I feel like Conte is going to go at the end of the season, and I do feel like maybe starting that with a new manager could really help reset and get a better vibe around Tottenham. But we'll have to wait and see, because I do go back and forth. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. No, look, I think you raised some good points there. Jakic, what's your thoughts on the whole Conte situation right now, my man?
I feel like I might be really stubborn here, Dave, with my answer, and so I'll probably
Cool.
just, preface it with that right away. I feel like I can't get rid of Antonio before I see certain, especially just a certain, core of that back line
Yeah.
get written of first, or maybe at the exact same time. I feel like because it needs to be, that either Antonio goes second or they go at the exact same time, because I fear that no matter what, even if there is really good logic behind a new manager bounce, like James and Philip and Jack explained, right? I kind of honestly was nodding my head to a lot of that. It did kind of make a lot of sense. But the way I sort of see it is this backline, Dave, with the likes of Eric Dyer, Sanchez, Tanganga, Davies, etc. The list just goes on and on and on. They have outlived manager after manager after manager after manager. And it's really hard to see, them not doing it again. Like, I feel like they will outlive the next manager if they outlive Antonio Conte. That's my fear here. So I'm just kind of very stubborn about that, because we all know that when they get a new manager, they kind of get a new lease of life. They get kind of a new clean slate. I understand maybe Pochettino has seen them before, so maybe there's a bit of hope that he could be a bit ruthless, but we've seen this story before where they then all of a sudden kind of turn it around the players for a few months, only then to just kind of capitulate the following October and November period to then put the next manager under pressure. I think we've seen this script before. So it's just, I kind of need to see that backline go before I see Antonio go. I'd almost go down with the ship of Antonio Conte first, Dave. And it really is just out of more stubbornness with how I feel about a certain backline and just how we kind of continue to fall to the same problems after each and every manager. So I just kind of, I don't know, Dave, my answer is a little bit stubborn. I'm going to stick with Antonio Conte till the rest of the season, until that summer, until I can see that backline go.
Philip, you wanted to come in there?
Yeah, just a quick one there. If we do relinquish or get rid of Conte before the end of the season, then it's pretty much obvious that Pochettino is probably the only candidate to come in mid-season. Because can you imagine Levy paying compensation to, say, Brentford or whoever we look for the new manager from in the middle of a season, when he can buy him, get him maybe for less at the end of the season when maybe his contract is up? So I think if he goes now, it's got to be Pochettino that comes in.
You're probably right.
Yeah, it's looking likely. Him and the coaching staff were all back in Tottenham. Big reunion dinner there last week. It's looking likely. But look, maybe just to answer Leighton's super chat here, says there's no point in sticking with him. Look, I understand that, but where we're at right now, where we sit currently going into this game, is we still have a chance of getting inside top four. We've got a good shot at the FA Cup as long as we make a good go of it. And we're still in the Champions League. I really don't see Tottenham making any decision on his future until we're out of an FA Cup, out of the Champions League, and probably top four isn't looking likely. I think that's when you might see Tottenham make that change. But to make it right now, where we're at, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, if the form continues the way it's going, you'll have to probably reassess it, relook at it. But the next few weeks are crucial. West Ham today, Chelsea next week. Midweek, then after that, we're in the FA Cup, another Premier League game, then the last 16 in the Champions League. So the next 5 games, I think, are absolutely crucial for Antonio Conte's future. We could end up still being in all the competitions, or, our season could very well be over. But right now, I don't think it makes sense to sack him. And look, I think one thing that Jack highlights, I think, is something that we can't overlook. And Foggy Phone puts it in here as well. If a new manager comes in, he needs to be allowed to get rid of the defense. Enough of these guys. And this is another thing I completely agree with.
I just fear that won't happen with the new manager. But yeah, continue.
But it's got to. I don't want to hear any more of this when a new manager comes in. Oh, but he said he likes the defense. He has to say that. He's not going to come in and go, Dyer's an absolute egghead, can't header a ball, can't kick a ball. And then all of a sudden he looks around and he goes, oh, shit, I have to pick him. Because Dyer's not going to play for him, because these players don't need excuses. We've seen Ben Davies' reaction when a lot of that squad in Europa Conference League under Nuno were told specifically, you're the B team because you're not good enough. They didn't like it. They didn't perform for the guy. So we can't expect the manager to come in here straight away and just go, Dyer's not good enough, Davies is not good enough. They're going to say things that they don't mean because they might have to rely on these guys. But one thing, regardless of Antonio, whether you want Conte in or out, under who whoever the manager is this summer going into, we have to upgrade this back line. We cannot keep conceding the amount of goals we are at the rate we are. It's relegation standard. And it's inevitable that Kane, Son, Kulu, the forward line, they're going to have drop-offs in little parts of the season. It's going to happen. And that's when you need to rely on your back line. And we can't do that. And it's only going to go and get worse. That back line was, 8th in the Premier League, Europa Conference League standard. Conte came in, got the most out of them up until the end of the season because of the new manager bouts. And they had no option but to perform last season because they actively went and got Nuno sacked. So with the new manager coming in, they had to perform, because if they didn't, the fans would have went absolutely ballistic and turned on the players. So they had to perform last season. But then you're coming into this season, and I questioned it at the time in the summer. Some of these guys will not be able to keep it up, and they just won't be able to. And that's been the case. Being unlucky with a lot of injuries, this, that, and the other this season. But where I'm at, it's like we could get a new manager, but then you're probably going to have to accept another year or 2 years of mediocrity. Right, in no man's land, and rebuild under him again, start again under him, which means you're going to have a squad then that resembles 5 regimes, a mix and match. You're starting all over again in the transfer window. Or where I'm at is I want to give Conte next season. I want to give him this summer, because when I look at the squad, I think a couple of centre-backs, a good number 1 goalkeeper, and maybe a Cam. I think we can go on and have a very good season next season and challenge on all fronts. So that's where I'm at. So for me, I would like to keep Conte, but I do understand the arguments where people are saying he's not committed. Does he want to be here? If he doesn't, you have to get a new manager. And ultimately, yes, you're right. If he doesn't want to be here, you do have to get in a new guy. There's no point in persisting with a guy that doesn't want to be here. But my feelings are, if he didn't want to be here, he would have walked away, or would have look to cut an agreement with the club to cut his contract and go and recuperate, rather than look to recuperate and come back. That's where I'm at with it. And I see this thing about, some people saying, why loyalty when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur? First of all, it's not loyalty to Conte. He hasn't been here long enough for anything for me to be loyal to the guy. Where I come from is what I believe is best for Tottenham Hotspur going forward. It's absolutely nothing to do with loyalty. It's just my way of what I think is best for Tottenham going forward. But guys, any of you want to come in off the back of anything that has been said there before we move on?
Yeah, I was definitely going to agree with you. If Antonio Conte wants to be here and he thinks there's a real chance I can bring this Tottenham side to where they should be, competing with the likes of City and Liverpool and getting that trophy, I definitely think he's the right man. But I just believe that his heart is still in Italy, and the comments and not maybe coming out and backing the club and say he wants to be here is sometimes a bit negative. I think he's the right man for the job. I just don't know if his heart's in it. But it's one to see. He clearly still loves the club because he wants to be back. We've seen the comments from Stellini. But for me, I'm not sure, really. I don't know where his head's at.
And just quickly, I think Welshgar makes an important point here. This is another thing that's holding us back in the market as well. And look, whether we agree with it or not, or whether we, because I know, look, me and many others are out there that is like, look, it's your problem. You created it. Shouldn't hold us back. So it's up to you to operate outside of the wage structure for a little while until you get these guys gone. But the reality is every club operates to a wage structure, and but they're a huge problem. I think there's 7 or 8 of them that need to be sold, and they have to go this summer. They can't keep carrying a percentage of their wages, this, that, and the other. They have to go. Absolutely crucial. Welsh Gal, we've got a super chat here from Adrian Chia. My computer's going haywire. Jacko, will you take these super chats?
No worries.
Turn the computer off and turn it back on.
No worries. Adrian Chia, pick yourself up, my friend. He says, changing manager and still retaining the core bunch of players is simply rinsing and repeating. Anyone thinking Poch or another manager will succeed with them is not being realistic. Adrian, this is the thing, though. I kind of felt like Philip, James, as well as Jack here were making some very good points about kind of like in the here and now. If Antonio's heart is not in it, it is a reality you have to take into account, regardless of how we might feel about the back line, regardless how we might feel about that core bunch of players. If Antonio's heart's not in it, if he really even physically can't even do the job, let's say, for the rest of the season, it might be a reality that we have to face. That's sort of, I don't know, kind of respective of football, just separate from football, just kind of has to do with him just being able to do the job sort of physically. But I'm just a bit stubborn here, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'll go to Philip, because, Philip, did you kind of see where I was coming from, where I just am afraid of that back line and a certain bunch of players kind of getting a new clean slate and us going through the same thing again, where they get 6 months, to try to, repair what they did last time. And then they just, let down the next manager. And then all of a sudden the next manager gets sacked. That's what I'm afraid of. It's just rinsing and repeating the same mistakes.
Well, the one thing I'll say, that if Pochettino comes back, I don't think we'll have that problem, because I think he knows, he knows what's been good. He knows the politics in the club. He knows what's been going on in the club. If a different manager comes in, then he's going to give every player a chance to prove themselves. Pochettino won't. He'll know which players he wants to get rid of, and if that means cancelling their contracts like they did with Aurier and Doherty, then so be it. We're not going to get great money for Ben Davies, who's 31 years of age. Eric Dyer must be pushing 30. I don't know what age he is. So I think Pochettino comes back. I think the players will either stay at the club and be used sparingly, or whenever we can't play anybody else until the end of the season. And then you'll find they'll not feature. They'll either be gone or training with the young kids.
And then for you, James,
Pochettino has got a memory. He'll know the players that let him down the last time, and they are in that bunch. So I think Pochettino will probably be the last choice. Eric Dyer wants to come back to the club.
Maybe. Let's hope so. So, James, do you agree with Philip then? Because that would relieve, some of my fears. That would relieve my stubbornness, I think, in this situation, is if Pochettino is going to be ruthless and he isn't going to afford them that clean slate, that new kind of lease on life, with the club, then I'll probably be maybe a bit more accepting if Antonio has to go. But that's where I'm kind of standing with, is that I'm just so afraid of them getting that new clean slate and that new kind of 6 months to repair, their reputation. Do you agree with me, or do you feel like Philip is right? Maybe Pochettino would get that sort of ruthlessness.
It's a point I was going to make as well, because it's like Pochettino is coming back to almost his dream club. It's no secret Pochettino absolutely adores Tottenham much more than Antonio Conte. Like, it's the fairy tale sort of happening. But do you? I don't want to flip a question back on you guys, but my point is Dyer, Sanchez, who he also signed, Tanganga, who he's kind of seen as the young up and coming player. These players, all three of them, need to go. Ben Davies, we know he's past his sell-by date. So is he going to come in and go, oh yeah, these players have done a job?
What's his relationship with them?
This is what I fear about Pochettino coming back. Is he going to kind of give him a little stroke on the hair and say, come on guys, get on with it? Or is he going to actually go, guys, you fucked up for me at the end last time. I've got to move on. I've got to get some new players. For me, I feel like it might be the first one. I feel like he'll try and model Dyer and go, oh yeah, you've improved since I've left. I can make you even better. That's my fear. I mean,
that's why I'm sticking with Conte. In that case, I'm sticking with Conte, because I can't let that happen. I just can't let that happen.
Do you know what's funny on Eric Dyer, though? Pochettino actually asked Dyer to move to centre-back, and Dyer refused. It's only when Jose came in that Dyer accepted, okay, I'll move to centre-back. But Pochettino asked him before that, and Dyer didn't want to play there. Honestly, if he comes back and keeps half of these guys, he deserves to fail. He just deserves to fail. I'm sorry. I don't want to see any manager fail here. I guess the reality is they are going to fail with keeping a lot of these guys around.
I guess the only kind of stakeholder, if you like, involved in what we've not talked about in this sort of model is Levy, because Levy is he'll have to eat a bit of humble pie to get Pochettino back. At the end of the day, he sacked him on the basis that, he got us to the Champions League final. We fell at that last hurdle. We didn't get quite over the line in other
He thought Poch reached his ceiling. That's what he thought.
So he not only has he got to, swallow a bit of humble pride and sign it and re-sign Pochettino as the manager, but he's also thinking probably in the side of this sort of hustle is, well, actually, this might be an excuse for us not to invest as much, because actually you've got back your players that you sort of trusted on sometimes. But whereas like a Ten Hag, obviously, I'm trying to think of a comparable manager. A Ten Hag's come into Manchester United and gone, actually, we're sending these players out. I don't like them. He told him exactly what he wanted. It took 2 or 3 months, but Man United are now probably one of the force to be reckoned with in the whole Premier League. And this is because he just got, Cristiano Ronaldo, the biggest ever football player ever, if you like. He tackled that But I don't think Pochettino, honestly, if I'm being deadly honest, has the minerals to get rid of those players that he
I don't
once
think he does
relied on.
either.
I
That's
don't
my
think he
fear.
does.
So maybe what Spurs fans want is a lot of Spurs fans seem to want a Pochettino-like manager, easy on the eye football, nice, attractive football. But what I fear the most is that next manager going to be ruthless enough to not give the same players that have sacked all the previous managers to give them that clean slate? And so maybe it might be better to go with like a new face, someone who's never seen them before and will just say not good enough instead of a guy that maybe has seen them before. It's an interesting.
Exactly that. And I know we've talked about it. Go on.
Just Philip has to go. It's the first time his family have been here all together, and we know how much it means to grandfathers to have everybody around the table. It's a proud moment. So Philip, we're going to let you go off and have a nice early dinner. Hopefully, you'll also have 3 points for dessert, my man.
Yeah, sorry about this, lads. Unfortunately, I have no control over them. My wife will kill me if I don't go down there. So, and listen, 3-0 to Spurs. That's my prediction, right?
And
big up, Philip.
And just quickly, Philip, what's coming up on THFC Till I Die for anybody out there?
Well, we're doing a watch along this afternoon, and we're doing 2 programs during the week, which are interesting. One is I Want My Tottenham Back, which is relating to what we're talking about now, really. And secondly, on Thursday night, we're doing it about the Alan Sugar years at Tottenham, about 9 o'clock on Thursday night, which will be interesting. You know, just to go give people a bit of history and what actually happened before the Enoch years. You know, so that should be interesting. And anyway, here's to a big win today. And come on, lads.
Have a good day, Philip.
Big up, Philip. Thanks for coming on.
All the best. Bye bye.
Absolutely. He is the Godfather. Big him up in absolute gentleman. Absolutely love that guy as well. But look, we keep moving. We've got a lot of super chats to get to, and we also have other talking points to get to as well.
I think you're still kind of freezing up here a little bit.
Says, I don't want a new manager. Right. Start again. Hopefully it works this time. Dark Song G says, I don't want a new manager or Giovanni Lo Celso, Winks, or Tanguy back. Look, I don't either. I don't think any of us do. Ndombele, I struggle to see a way back from him. I think the club will just want him gone in general. Same as Giovanni Lo Celso. We all heard the stories about these guys when they went out. Winks, honestly, I think he'll struggle to get back now after his latest words during the week, which, I'll be honest, probably sent me into a bit of a meltdown as walking around screaming, ranting, raving, nobody really understanding why. And I'm trying to tell them. You know, this is a guy that got rewarded contract after contract, even through injury-ravaged seasons, to help the guy out, got pay rises, etc., etc. But it's our fault for not respecting the guy. The reason why he didn't play well, the reason why he's not at Tottenham, you know, he didn't feel wanted, he didn't feel respected. I mean, last time I checked, respect is earned by football players. It's not given, it's fucking earned. And this is a part of the problem and a part of the culture that's been at Tottenham. And I have no doubt others carry it in the squad, like Dyer, like Davies. And it's the blame game. Blame everybody else but yourself. Davies done it under Nuno. Dyer's done it under after Poch left to Jose, went tattletaling. It's Poch's fault I wasn't playing. All they do is blame everybody else but themselves. And I'm fed up with it. The blame game culture in the dressing room has to fucking be got rid of. I'm sick of it. How can this guy come out and say, oh, well, I didn't feel wanted and I didn't feel respected? We gave you contracts through injury-ravaged seasons, you know, pay rises. And at the end of the day, you know, you get respect based off your performances. If you're too scared to turn on the ball and move it forward, if you're too scared to take a tackle, that's on you. That's not on me. It's on you. And I'm sick of these players like Winks coming out with this shit. Now, look, there is some sort of, when they talk about the different managers over a short period of time, I get it, because it's something I complain about too. If you want trophies, you've got to be able to sit there, give a manager a chance to sort this out, get a squad fully his own, and take it forward. But to keep coming back and blaming people about not feeling wanted and respected, I mean, last time I checked, we're a fucking football club, not a social club. It's absolute bloody ridiculous, some of these guys. But big up Dark Song G. Leighton Evelyn says it's easier to get rid of herpes than our defence. It seems like that at the minute. Not saying I've been there or I've tried, because I haven't, thank God, touch wood. But according to Leighton, it is easier. Big up, Leighton, my man. I hope you're keeping well. DJ19 Jacko, was there a comment in here after?
Yeah, I have a few in there that she put up. She said Conte's not a proven winner with a restricted checkbook, and then she also said Conte is not right, too rigid, not enough quality to dispense his style. The outlay to get his style is crap. So maybe she's trying to make the point that he only works with, high quality players. He can't work with, maybe let's say some of the dross that we do have at our disposal. I actually might disagree because I think he got the best out of Eric Dyer. I think he's actually gotten the best out of Ben Davies and other players than previous managers did. So I think in my opinion, got better out of Dyer than Jose did, better out of Dyer than really Poch did, or even Nuno did. So that does speak to the fact that he can work with players that really aren't all that great. I think same thing with Ben Davies. He was able to sort of save Ben Davies from probably having to be able to be moved on. Like Ben Davies was not cutting it at left back anymore. He moved him to a left-sided center back. So he has been able to work with players at this club that we probably all knew originally weren't really good enough in the first place. And even to a degree, you could say players like Sessegnon all of a sudden kind of got a little bit better. I know they're dross now, but I mean, it's not like he was doing anything for us in the first place before then. And also Matt Doherty. Matt Doherty didn't have much use to us until Conte came in too. So he did kind of save a lot of players, as much as he might have also maybe toss them out in the cold, or also really, they started to kind of fail him towards the end. He still got the best out of them compared to previous managers, in my opinion, at least.
Look, I can hear the argument, but also he's not a proven winner without a restricted checkbook. I mean, look, I hear what people are saying, right? That ideally, he wants the best players in here, but surely that's what us fans want to see on the football pitch as well. Very best players we can in their positions. Like, we all know we need upgrading that back line. We've known it since Toby and Jan have basically retired at Tottenham Hotspur. We know we need players in their positions. And something like that defense, I can't put on Antonio Conte. It predates Conte. No manager's been able to work with. And I don't buy this argument that, he should be getting more out of them. I haven't seen more from these guys over 3-4 years. So I don't expect anyone else to come in and get any more out of them. But, at the end of the day, this club requires a checkbook to be able to sort out the problems on the football pitch. And that's it at the end of the end. I'm not going to sit here and start diminishing, Antonio Conte's achievements, because although he might sign players, he still has to put them together and build a title-winning team out of it. So this guy, he's got the success, and we can't keep going through this at Tottenham, where managers that come in with trophies, we diminish their achievements. We've done it with Jose Mourinho. We got knocked out of Europa Conference League. He went on to win it, and Conte is going to leave, and he's going to go back to win trophies. Can't keep diminishing their achievements. I hear the arguments, that, if he doesn't want to commit, if we, do we start going with someone who does want to commit? I can understand all that. I do understand where DJ 19 is coming from. But look, for me, this club requires a checkbook at this moment in time, in terms of, especially across that back line. Big up, Ben Kaufman. Good to see you in the house, my man. I hope you're keeping well, brother. He says, and he's back from Milan as well. He says, Buongiorno, ragazzi, Forza, Tottenham. Absolutely love that. Benjo coming back with a bit of Italian as well to his name. We've got John Stokes. He says, if I was given the choice to either one play great football and win nothing, or two play average football and win trophies, the latter is a no-brainer for me. So look, now we're moving on to the trophy argument when it comes to Antonio Conte here. And I guess the style of play. So, I mean, who wants to take this one? Who's jumping at the bit for Johnny says from China?
I've spoken up here. How about we give it to the other Jack? Jack, are you a trophies man, or are you style of play man?
Do you know what? I'm greedy. I want both. Give me both. But I tell you what, I've been starved of trophies for too long. I'm only 18 years old, but I've only seen one, the League Cup. And I feel like with the fantastic managers we've had and the brilliant players, we deserve more than that. And I think Antonio Conte is the right man to win us trophies. And I even think his style of football at his pomp at Tottenham was brilliant. We were playing high pressing football, attacking straight from the off, looking like I went into every game being confident we could score loads of goals and look good while doing it, whilst getting the result. And I believe we can still do that. We keep talking about it. Our defence is not good enough. Therefore, the style we like to play is transitioning from the back, getting Bentancur on the ball and then looking to play out wide. Like when we had Toby and Jan, those diagonal balls into the front line with Kulusevski and Son would be a dream. And I feel like that's what we need to do. We need to get the checkbook out. We need to stop relying on the players that let us down time and time again and start buying players. It's like we spent over 120 million trying to replace Kyle Walker. For example, we keep doing that time and time again and going for the C options rather than the main players. But anyway, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. I would love to see I would still back Antonio Conte, and I want both. Give me trophies and good football, and I still believe Antonio Conte can deliver that as long as he wants to be here.
I could just to go on to the back of that, like I can defend Conte to an extent because of the quality of player, right? But I can't defend Conte on the basis that we've got world-class attacking players, very, very decent, and I'd say getting to world-class Bentancur in centre mid. Obviously, he's out now, and then the defence, bar probably one player in Romero, is absolute dross. So my point is, when you've got a squad that is very, very reliant on scoring to win a game, why does he not transition that in his tactics and play a more forward-thinking game and not rely on these defensive players to almost sit in and counter-attack, when clearly to win a game we need to basically do a Leeds and outscore the opponent like they did when they first came in? I mean, obviously
it comes down to tactics, James. I hear this question asked all the time. I mean, if you send your team pressing, right, it exposes your midfield. It leaves a bigger gap between your midfield, which means your midfield leaves a bigger gap between your midfield and your defense. Our defense can't handle people running at them. They can't handle balls into the box. So you've got to protect that back line. What people won't talk about is if you're sending your team out to play more on the front foot and start pressing, you're exposing your back line even more than what it is now. And if they can't defend when they're protected, we're going to concede more when we send our team to go and play on the front foot. Why don't we talk about this when we mention about, wanting to see a better style of football? Also, that requires transitioning out from the back, just like Conte's formation. Now, sometimes they can do it and sometimes they can't. If you had more consistency coming out from the back line, the way we play would look so much more better. But because we don't have that consistency, we give away the ball a lot more, which means then we have to sit deeper. Like, we can sit here and pin it all on Antonio Conte and his tactics, but when can we sit here and be honest about, the players' consistency? They don't have the consistency to play out from the back the way that any system requires right now. And we can't push further forward because it leaves them more exposed.
I completely agree with you about the players. I think that's the number one thing, isn't it? Like, we need to invest. We need to actually get rid of this dead wood. We've talked about it for many, many years. But my point is, and I hear you about transitioning and playing out the back. I completely understand that. Then it leaves a gap and then they get ran at more. Completely understand that. However, what I'm saying is, why doesn't he also mix it up in a game and put on players that are clearly screaming out to come on to it? Look at the Leicester game. He didn't even bring on an attacking player till God knows when. Like, how can you be 3-1 down, 4-1 down and not even change it? That's what really annoys me. That is just, you can't even defend that. Like, how can you have attacking players? And clearly Son and Kulusevski are doing absolutely nothing. Kane as well in Leicester game. He was nowhere to be seen as well. And then not bring on Danjuma and Richarlison and bring on these players. And that goes with the tactics of throwing more people forward and actually having a go when you've got the attacking option.
Keeping the intensity high. But sometimes we've gone stale in games and we don't have an option. Son and Kulusevski, we keep going back. There's no real drive at the defence. And that's what we were best at. When we played Manchester City, we started the game from the off and we were pressing their defenders. They played free at the back, tried to match us, but we were going for it every time. And I feel like rotation is needed in order to keep the intensity high. And I hope that's why I see Richarlison maybe start today. Danjuma come off the bench. If Son's on the bench, we've got a world-class attacking player to come on. So just keeping the squad fresh, not making it go stale would be my point.
Well, John Stokes, for me, where I'm at right now, I'll do anything to win a trophy. It means if I have to soak defensive football up to go win a trophy and get that hoodoo offer back, I'll take it. Once we start winning trophies, I think then we can start dictating what we want to see in the dugout and on the football pitch. But until then, for me, it's just about getting a trophy in the cabinet, John. Big yourself up, brother. A couple of super chats, so I'll throw one each at you, and then I do want to move on and start maybe talking about some of the contentious positions in the starting lineup. Kanikalenko, we'll start with you on this one. Stefan Bloy says, I've always took pride in Spurs being a good footballing side. We seem to have lost this over the last few years. At this point, I just want Spurs back.
Yeah, this seems to be where a lot of Spurs fans are a bit conflicted, right? Is it's always been a club that they kind of have associated nice, progressive, attacking football. And yes, we lost games here and there. Yes, maybe we weren't always the strongest of side, but usually you could count on Spurs back in the day, sort of being that kind of, fun team to watch, that easy on the eye kind of football. Even if the quality wasn't really, springing throughout the whole 11, they still played an attractive football that was fun for a lot of fans to go to. And let's be honest, especially for the match going fans, Dave, I can't speak to this, but I know James and Jack can. When you are, paying the, when you're making the trip, making the big effort, paying the money to go to the games and everything, there are lots of times where, yes, you're probably willing and happy to, sit behind the ball against Man City, but you don't want to be sitting behind the ball against Nottingham Forest or against the likes of, Fulham and teams like that. And it is, it's hard to watch. I can't blame them for feeling that way. And so it is kind of I can see why the divide is there. And I can't, say that you should feel any differently, honestly, Stefan, because especially you're probably a much, more veteran fan than myself as well. And I can't tell you how to feel about it. And it is maybe something that Spurs have switched to, where back in the day, we went for more progressive, young, attractive type style of managers. And now we start to switch the gear towards managers who we know have a proven resume, have a proven way of doing things, and have proven to win things. And we start to go towards that, which has meant maybe sacrificing style of play. It's meant sacrificing the aesthetic football that we like to watch. And maybe certain Spurs fans have kind of gotten tired of it. And I don't necessarily blame them. I don't blame them.
I think you're absolutely spot on there, Jacob, but I'd also go as far as saying, why have the club brought in 3 defensive managers since Poch? Defense is an issue and they haven't spent money on it. So their way of thinking is you protect that back line, and that's what these managers are going to do. But Jack, absolutely brilliant answer to Stefan Blaise. You're absolutely spot on, my mate. Jamesy, we'll throw this at you, and then we've got one for Jack H or Jacko, and then we'll crack on. The bottom dude says, sorry, I don't buy the Poch argument. It's not the same era as the Poch era anymore. The PL is the Super League now. If you are not stay-at-home, you are top 6. Not going to be a Cinderella story with Poch.
I think it's a very, very good point. I mean, there's no hiding from the fact that it's not just a top 6 anymore that are challenging for top 4. It's a top 8, top 9 that are challenging for top 4. I mean, you look at Brighton; they're right on our tails. They split up yesterday, but even Fulham as well. I'm not saying these guys are getting top 4, but it's certainly more competitive for those top 4 spots. So for sure, I can't see it being a fairy tale story, and that's. I mean, I've got told I'm a happy clapper in part of the happy clapper panel today, and I'm actually being a bit pessimistic here. I can't see the Poch return being as fairy tale as we may hope. And that is purely on the fact that we haven't got the players at the moment to do that. I mean,
and do you think the landscape of the Premier League has changed a little bit since he's been here? It's a bit more competitive. Like you said, Brighton are a lot better, Fulham are a lot better. All these teams are a lot better now as well.
Yeah, Jack, I think you could, like you said, you mentioned earlier, like Nottingham Forest and, Crystal Palace. There's no disrespect to those kind of teams, but you could kind of get away with like a Pochettino kind of going there and winning 4-1, 3-1, and you'd almost expect you'd be guessing how many we'd win by. But when we get Nottingham Forest away now, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, these guys, look what they did to Manchester City yesterday.
They know what they're doing.
They can. No game is easy. I know people have said that about the Premier League since it started. No game is easy in the Premier League, but it's getting harder and harder. And the teams that you expect to turn over, and you sit here and you predict a 3-1, 4-1, I'm starting to go, I'm hoping for a 2-1 today. I'm hoping we can just do the job. West Ham today, I'm not going to be predicting a 4-1. I'm sure Dave will be, but I'll be like, maybe we can scrape a 2-1. That's how I'm feeling about any game. And that doesn't matter if it's Conte in charge, Pochettino in charge, or Pep Guardiola. I just think the nature of this league is so competitive now. It's a great point. You have to invest. You have to get rid of the players that aren't good enough. You can't rely on another manager to try and pat them on the back and go, Dyer, step it up. You have to just invest and bring in the players that are going to change a game.
Spot on. Spot on. Big up the bottom Duke, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Good talking point as well, my man. And then Jacko, Adrian Chia says, question, any instances of managers that failed the first time around at a club gets another bite at the cherry and succeeds on a second try?
From what I know, I know Jose Mourinho obviously, but he succeeded at Chelsea and then went back to Chelsea and also did amazing again. Off the top of my head, I can't think of many times a manager's had
someone we're playing today, actually.
Say again?
David Moyes.
Yeah, Moyes West Ham.
He almost got relegated or something with West Ham.
Yeah.
He almost got relegated, and now he turned them around.
Yeah, so there's an argument for both sides here, and I think that with Pochettino, I'm in the camp where he's not going to give those players another try. Surely Levy will realise, look, we've got Pochettino back. We didn't back him the first time. These players have let you down and stopped you from progressing from where you should have been. We didn't invest in you. We've tried to bring in Conte. We've tried to bring in Mourinho. We've even brought in Nuno to say, let's play defensive football, and these are going to be able to get the results. They're going to be solid defensively. But they've shown over 3 managers they're not good enough. So Pochettino's going to be like, right, I've proved you right. You give me the money and the tools, otherwise it's not going to work again. So in my head, I think from a common sense point of view, you've got to realise, like, you've got to give him the money. Otherwise, what was the point in bringing him back? So I'm thinking Pochettino will realise that these players are not good enough. Invest in me and I will show you what I can do. Because in my opinion, Pochettino was nowhere near as backed as Conte and Mourinho have been backed at all. We're spending 60 million on a backup right winger in Richarlison and a centre forward. Pochettino never got that. We wouldn't spend an extra 5 million for Jack Grealish. So in my opinion, if he's given the tools and a bit more money than he was given before, who knows? It could be the Cinderella story after all.
Jack, I disagree with the backing, other than the fact we went 2 windows without signing anyone. But that final summer, he did get what he was essentially asking for. We spent well over 100 million on Ndombele, Lo Celso, and a couple of others. He was back that window.
How many did he
It may have been. What I'm saying is, Jack. Okay, say Pochettino joins in the summer, right? How much realistically does he need to get out and then get in? Are we talking 5-6 players? Because that is essentially what I'm thinking.
I'm talking 100, 150 million, which Conte and Mourinho got. Everyone, when Mourinho was at Spurs, we signed Gareth Bale. We signed a lot of players that everyone was like, this is a fantastic window. Conte, another fantastic window. Pochettino, while he was at Spurs, I don't think any Spurs fan was overwhelmed by a window. I believe that he deserves the opportunity to have similar financial backing, if not more, than what Conte and Mourinho had. Pochettino never had that financial investment. He had 1 season where we signed Lo Celso and Ndombele, but we just lost the Champions League final. You saw his aura in the press conferences. Everyone felt so depleted and so down that we didn't get over the line, and it was already the end by then. Now it's a fresh start. I think he believes he can transform this Tottenham side, and I think, in my opinion, if he does come in, he deserves that financial backing and he deserves that chance to push Tottenham on.
Big up, Adrian Chia, my man. Really appreciate support. You guys are getting really good conversations on these super chats today. Really good combos. Big up, Adrian, my man. We've also got Carrot Top, aka new name. It's a name for a ginger over here. He says Emerson should be the 3rd centre back. Drop Davies. Look, I hear you.
Wow.
I hear you. We got to stop doing this, though. We should just have centre backs ready to go. You know, the fact that we're talking about one wing back, aka full back, replacing another wing back, aka full back, in a centre back position, sums up where we're at right now across this back line. Look, I initially shut this down before, but the more I see a Dyer and a Davies out there, the more I'm starting to think, just fucking do it. You know, you can't be any worse at this point, Carrot Top. But big up, my man. Really appreciate the support. But again, it does sum up where we're at with that back line right now. And then Adrian Chia says, fun fact, Pep only made changes at 80 minutes yesterday. But look, you know, I came back to haunt him. You know, Nottingham Forest ended up getting a result out of the game. If you would have changed it before that, they might not have got their goal. But look, that's one thing I do understand is the substitutions when it comes to Conte. I've said it at times myself. You know, that Leicester game, I would have made a big change at halftime and sent shockwaves around that dressing room. You know, it didn't happen. We let it ideally go on for too long in the second half. That's one of the things I will aim at Antonio Conte. But one thing I'll never put on him is how disgraceful that back line is and how they perform. Never, ever, ever will I put that on them because I've seen it time and time again. Now, we'll keep this moving. I want to keep this discussion moving because we've still got plenty to talk about. So where are we now? So, look, anyone who wants to see a back four today, Stellini has dashed any hopes in his pre-match press conference. I don't know if you're thinking of changing to a back four, but we only have 2 or 3 fullbacks, not in change. This is our shape. It's not about the strikers you have. We have the same fullbacks and the same wingbacks. But look, we'll go through Nikolenko, but lots of Spurs fans want to see Conte switch to a back four for a few different reasons. Spurs have struggled to create recently in the final thirds, and West Ham have always been a rigid and conservative defensive side. Does this match call for more creativity? And if so, does this mean Conte should consider switching up the shape of the team?
Looks like we got our answer from Stellini. No back four, everybody, today. So like how a lot of people have said to us, Dave, there's no change in the center backs. Just shut up. So everybody, I would say with the back four, then no need to talk about back four. I guess we can just shut up about it. What I would say, though, is, Dave, is West Ham are a very conservative, very defensive type side. So you do need to, even if you are going to go for this 3 in the back, whatever shape it's going to be, it doesn't really matter the shape. You do need to be a bit more on the front foot, I think, against this West Ham side. They're going to give you lots of the ball. They're going to want to try to counterattack you and hit you, maybe when you least expect it, also from set pieces, as well, as we do know. So it does call for a lot of creativity today. I think it calls for maybe more people maybe kind of making runs, forward instead of, thinking about what maybe the threat of the opposition could be. It's about being a bit more dynamic, a bit more progressive today. But I think you can still achieve that with a back five. I don't think that just means only back fours, or that type of style. We've seen a lot of back 3, back 5 formations be very progressive and achieve that type of style. So that's really what it is today. It's just maybe more the message today. Don't play conservative, be brave, be, expressive and be positive, I think should be the message today from Antonio. But maybe if people did want a back four, what I would say to you, everybody, is do remember a lot of these guys that we all said, weren't good enough. The reason we were saying they weren't good enough was because they weren't good enough for a back four under Pochettino. They weren't good enough for a back four under Jose. They weren't good enough for a back four under Nuno. And that's Tanganga, Davies, and Dyer, and even maybe some more if you want to include. So you do have, and Sanchez as well. A lot of people had said they weren't good enough anymore for a back four. So if we were to switch to one, there's only 2 to 3 players that we could pick confidently in that one, maybe like Emerson, Romero, and Longley. And then that's about it, and so that's another thing with the back four, is that you're not really picking a confident, selection of players for it either. So that's my thinking.
Spot on. Jerry, I presume this is in that you, James, with your Pochettino love, and he says Poch in. So Poch is going to finish what Conte, Mourinho, and Poch couldn't do. Once he is in, we will have cemented that THSE is the goal at losing.
I mean, how do you even respond to that? I mean, it's true though, isn't it? Like, we talk about the players that came back after they left. Like, we replaced Gareth Bale with Lamela, that didn't really work out, to be honest. Even though we did like him, it didn't really work out. And then we replaced Lamela with Gareth Bale. I mean, we're a vicious cycle of getting players back or getting managers back that once were good, and then we have to rely on getting them back. I mean, I listen, Dave, I'm not sitting here and saying Pochettino back is going to work. I already told you that there's an awful lot of work that needs to happen if it's going to happen.
It's not me you need to convince, it's Jerry you need to convince, my man.
Jerry, I honestly think you could get anyone in world management, even Pep Guardiola, and they couldn't make this team win a trophy. You have to look at the players in this situation. You have to get rid of the players that we talked about time and time again. We all know who it is. Get rid of them and do actual research, and not taking punts on players that are just bang average, that we've signed players in the past. I mean, even last window, I could go over a few that I wasn't happy with us signing and haven't worked out. We thought we got a deal on Basuma. I think we've actually got Basuma's twin brother that's never played football before. We need to actually be confident on who we're signing, make proper signings, and actually take the hit and get rid of players that have been here nearly 10 years for their testimonial. So it doesn't matter. We talk about which manager we get in all you want. You have to do the hard bit, which is get rid of the players and get in proper players. Then you can talk about which manager is going to work out at this football club.
There you are, Jerry. Let us know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with James. Look, for me, I don't think Poch is the answer, my man. I just don't believe he's the answer. I don't think the second coming is ever as good as the second time around. Ask anybody that's gone back to an ex-missus, they'll tell you, they went back there hoping for the same goods they got before, and it's just not the same, my man. So look, for me, I'm not sure Poch is the right answer. But just quickly, Jacko, DJ19's not very happy with you. She says you used the back four to support your argument earlier. So which is it? Maybe you need to. She wants you to clarify.
Yeah, maybe I need to clarify. I was trying to say the back four it doesn't matter what shape you go for. All that matters today is that the message needs to be that they need to play more progressive, more positive, more expressive. And it doesn't matter if that's a back four, doesn't matter if that's a back five. You can still also play very defensive, very conservative with a back four, as we all know, under the days of maybe Jose. So maybe the point I was trying to make is that most of the center backs we have to pick from, DJ, we were all saying under the days of Jose and Nuno, the reason we got them sacked in the first place was because we were saying the majority of the defenders we have are no longer good enough for a back four. We said that with definitely Sanchez. We definitely said that with Eric Dyer. Don't tell me nobody didn't say that, because we were all saying he no longer is good enough for a back four. Same thing with Ben Davies at left back. We were all saying isn't good enough anymore. So we had to switch to something else if we wanted to keep them. Of course, we wanted to get rid of them at the time, but if you did want to keep them around, you had to switch to a back five to maybe accommodate for their deficiencies or accommodate for their weaknesses. So that's how I was trying to explain it, DJ. Hopefully that makes sense, is that if we are to go to a back four, just remember that was the back four that we had tried to get rid of, or that was the back four that we tried to basically flee ourselves from, originally. So that's kind of where it's coming from.
Yeah, hopefully that clears that up, DJ. Jory's back in, James. He says, spot on, James. Pep would kill half of them within a fortnight.
I think he would. I think he would probably be very, very well looking like Graham Potter. I think it's fair to say. Pep's quite slick at the moment. Likes to wear his, jumpers and his slick trainers that are worth God knows how much. But I think he'll soon start looking like Graham Potter after 3 months at Chelsea. That's for sure.
For sure.
Bags under his eyes, maybe.
Big up, Jerry, my man. Big up. You held James to it. Absolutely love that, brother. Big yourself up. Jacob Anderson says Spurs need a manager that they back for at least a few years. I think Poch could be the guy that will stay around because he loves Spurs. Look, regardless of who the next manager is, you've got to back them to the full extent, but you've also got to make things clearer underneath them as well, Underneath Antonio Conte, I think they could have came out and made some things clearer where it's like, look, we understand the magnitude of the rebuild. We still have some work to do. No one in and around the club, not even Paratici, wanted to come out and sort of do that. So, Antonio Conte is left answering questions in the press conference about backline. Sometimes he says the truth on them. Sometimes he bigs them up. And then that's where confusion then comes in with the players, the fan base, stuff like that. Because some go, oh, well, he said they're good enough. And it's like, yeah, we know he said that, but look at their performances. Let's not kid ourselves. We all know deep down they're not good enough. So it's very important, no matter what manager comes in next. We've got to stick by him for 2 seasons. 2 seasons. It gives him 4 wins to shape a squad in the way he wants, but we've got to do it quicker than what we do it right now. Look, Pochettino might be that guy, but also he's a guy that if they tell him there's no money there, he accepts that. We can sit here and say Poch is that guy or whatever else, but when he wanted reinforcements, he was getting Clinton NG and Kevin and Kudu. So
there you go.
And there's no guarantee that there's no guarantee that he's going to see the money Conte has seen. They have no option but to put up the money that Conte has seen, because they know he'll kick up a fuss. They know the fans are on his side, that the fans were on his side, did adore Antonio Conte. So they knew they had to put them funds available, especially where the club was heading in terms of personnel on the football pitch, the football product we were seeing on the football pitch. And I think, people have short memories. I think they're very quick to forget how bad it was under Nuno, how bad it was under Jose Mourinho. I think they're very quick to forget that. And look, I'm not sure Poch is the answer. I can understand why people would want to go back to Poch. It's familiar. We know what he can bring, this, that, and the other. But then the argument comes back around. We get to all these semi-finals and finals. He doesn't know how to manage the big occasion. And then you'll be screaming for someone like Conte, get him in, he can handle the big occasion. And it's like, this is a huge problem at Tottenham, you know. At some stage, we've got to stand by a manager and just give him longer than what we're giving him, because, you know, we used to give managers time. Now we're not. Now it's out of frustration. As soon as one bad result comes in or we see something, get him gone, get this guy gone, get that guy gone, get them gone. Can't keep going through that with managers. At some stage, you got to realize he's to work with 3-4 other managers' squads, including the players that he's brought in. He's trying to gel it together. In order for this to work going forward and win trophies, you've got to let our manager have a squad that resembles his philosophy, his ideas, players that he wanted, that he can trust to put out there and do a job for him. But that's where we're at, Jacob. Big yourself up, my man, and really appreciate the support, brother. But look, I'm gonna start throwing one question at you each about, you know, the lineup until we come to a good real talking point. We'll start with you on this one, Jack. I'll give you a nice easy one. Kanikalenko. I see a report suggesting Ben Davies to come in for Clement Langley. I mean, what are they smoking? He came on for 10 minutes against AC Milan. He done absolutely nothing but give the ball away. Pretty sure I counted 8 times in 9 minutes. Surely I'm not alone in thinking that Langley just has to play over Ben Davies, Jack, surely.
If I were to find any logic behind it, I'm with you, Dave. I think Longley has to play ahead of him, but if there's any logic behind it, it could be Ben Davies has played in these derbies before. He's more familiar with the occasion. He's more familiar with this type of game and this type of atmosphere and just this fixture. He knows maybe what it means to Spurs fans, maybe a bit deeper than probably Longley does. That's the only credit I can give to Ben Davies on this one. I agree, Dave. He really was poor when he came on. It felt like maybe not, I don't know, like him coming on in the AC Milan game maybe sort of made sense if you wanted to preserve Longley for this West Ham game. If you wanted to, you know, rest him for this match, I could see why that made sense. But Davies did absolutely nothing to even earn any sort of consideration. In fact, he did a lot to probably make you not want to play him. Like he took that shot from whatever it was. I mean, Jack, you were at the stadium. Did you actually get that shot? He took one from about 60 yards out, you know, at the 85th minute when we were, you know, trying to equalize. He took a very selfish 50-yard screamer.
It was to the goal.
He didn't have his binoculars on him at that time.
Like, here lies within the problem in Tottenham. You know, people want to give Ben Davies some minutes because they like him. He's a nice guy. I mean, if you're going off what he produced when he came off the bench against Milan, he shouldn't even kick a ball from the under-23s this weekend. Let's be real about it. You know, it's absolutely disgraceful. But again, there's part of the problem. Let's give Ben minutes. You know, fuck the 3 points. He's a nice guy.
It has to be
a nice guy.
Fuck me.
It doesn't matter if he's a nice guy or not. He should be not a nice guy if he has some actual grit to him.
This is the problem, though. You know, look, he's nice. He's a good guy. Give him some minutes. It's like, no, you got to earn them. Earn them. That's the era I grew up in. Anyway, let's move on to the right wing back. Who should we start at right wing back? And like I said earlier on, the reason why I asked this is because it's very easy to go, no, we lack creativity, need Porro in there going forward. But realistically, we're also shit defensively, and Emerson does offer that defensive cover. So I'll go around to each. We'll go to you. Start with you on this, Jamesy, my man. I mean, who do you want to see at right wing back today, and why?
Oh, I would say you have to go with Porro based on the absolute. Because Emerson has been good recently, right? But it's this whole catch-22 of, oh yeah, he's been good recently. You know, he's performing better than we expect. He's papering over the cracks. I mean, Emerson was never going to keep that form. We know that. We know actually how he's been for the last year and a bit. He hasn't been fantastic. However, Pedro Porro, £42 million signing. I think you have to put him in today. A big home game. Get him involved in a big London derby. You know, West Ham's Cup final. Get him involved in it. Get him involved in the atmosphere. Home debut. I think Pedro Porro for me starts because you also need a player that's going to be more attacking and get at those West Ham fullbacks who I actually don't think are that great. And whereas Emerson is better defensively than Porro, we've got all those, you know, stats. We've broken them down. We had the Euro expert on a couple of weeks ago swearing down that Emerson is actually a much better defensive player and Porro is a much better attacking player. And when you do look at those stats, he really is. But I mean, Emerson doesn't fill me a confidence defensively anyway. I've got to say that as well. But I would say Pedro Porro, because we need to attack today. We need to get forward. We need to put West Ham on the back foot. And I think what I've seen of Pedro Porro at Sporting Lisbon, if he can really produce these goals and goal contributions that he has been doing, then maybe he can put in an absolutely unbelievable performance today. But what a stinker against Leicester as well. I've got to throw that in there. Absolute shocker.
Yeah, it was. It was. Moldy Pickle, it seems like I'm showing my age. I'm actually not too much older than these boys on the panel, but, you know, when I'm talking about players having to earn their minutes, I feel like I'm a light year away, to be honest with you.
Doesn't exist anymore.
But Jack, number 2, do you agree with James that Porro should come in? Because when you look at West Ham, aerially, they're going to absolutely dominate us. I mean, we get dominated by smaller teams than West Ham, let alone coming up against a big team like West Ham. And Emerson, you would argue, is probably one of our best defenders in the air.
Yeah, I think I'm very 50-50 on this argument because I think in recent games, Emerson's been one of our much better players. I thought he was relatively impressive against AC Milan and showed another strong defensive display. But I also think if we're going to spend £45 million on a right wing back, and we're playing against a poor West Ham side, and it's clear to see we're lacking creative intent. We're lacking balls to the back post. We've maybe seen Richarlison and Harry Kane, 2 fantastic aerial threats. Surely this is the game to give Pedro Porro a start, especially when you've got the defensive cover of Romero, which he didn't have last time against Leicester. I think that's a key point here. Romero with his aggressive defending and pushing high up the field and making sure that no one knows they can mess with Romero. He's the man in defence. He's the leader. And I think having that defensive cover in him is the reason why I would start Pedro Porro.
You need to have Romero maybe to start alongside him that first match against Leicester City. Maybe he was let down by not having
100%.
that guy next to him.
I don't think the other defenders are nearly on the same caliber of him. Not saying he should escape criticism all the time because he's not been his best recently. But come on, he's different kettle of fish compared to our other defenders, Sanchez, Tanganga. There's no comparison. And I think today, proper derby against West Ham with Romero covering and Pedro Porro, we've seen the ability he has. It's the perfect game for him.
Love that. Love that. Jacko, Perisic has struggled against dynamic winners in the Premier League this season. Today he's up against one in Jared Bowen, who West Ham actually really rely heavily on for goals and creativity. Would you consider someone else at left wing back or at full back to take care of Jared Bowen, or do you think Spurs can take the risk? But also, I want to caveat that with lots of us has tolerated Perisic's lack of defensive solidity because he makes up for it when he does what he does going forward and from set pieces. But recently, I don't really find that that's the case. I think it's been a bit of a letdown going forward. So, do you still find the line of logic to be true when it comes to Perisic going forward as well?
It's that line of logic that I feel like we went into this season with, right? Where we felt like even if Perisic was a bit underwhelming defensively, even if he got exposed from time to time, he was going to make up for it with how brilliant he was going to be going forward. He was going to get us goals, get us assists. I feel like he's getting us the assists, but I think a lot of those are also maybe slightly inflated by, his set piece ability, being able to put in a good ball. But is he getting a lot of assists from maybe open play? I'd like to take a look into that as well, because maybe a lot of his assists have come from just dead ball set piece, type situations. I feel like Perisic is starting to kind of leave wanting a little bit when it comes to, his forward play, because once you start seeing Emerson, at least in my opinion, at least in the last few games, I feel like Emerson is actually producing more going forward than actually Perisic has been. And that's a concern for me because Emerson, like James brought up, we all know is better for kind of the defensive reasons. That's kind of the reason he gets into the side in probably the first place, is to be that more defensive guy. Whereas Perisic is supposed to be that more kind of, attacking option. And I feel like recently he actually hasn't been as great. And so you do kind of ask yourself, like, are you willing to continue to go through that liability? Are you going to continue to go through that issue of him getting kind of exposed by the opposition's winger? And maybe for the sake of him producing something going forward, he hasn't been producing very much going forward. So I feel like I don't think it is going to happen, but I think I might actually throw Emerson or someone on the left wing back and then maybe go for Pedro Porro on the right or something like that, because Jared Bowen is basically West Ham's best player. I think he is kind of the guy they rely on pretty much most. And so he is also pretty much their best goal scorer in most situations too. And I think Perisic would make his life a lot easier for Jared Bowen. So I'd rather make Jared Bowen's life a bit harder.
Let us know in the comments. Would you agree with Jacko throwing Emerson in that left wing back today? Interesting call. I just want to say, though, we are a funny fan base. I mean, it was only in December or January, everyone's like, get rid of Emerson, get him out the club, he's atrocious. And now in the comments, everyone's asking for him to start. Absolute madness. It's brilliant. It's absolute brilliant. But look, I do want to move in to talk about Papa Sarr and Skipp. And we'll go to young Jacko on this. Considering Bentancur and Bissouma's injury, as well as Conte's praise for Papa Moussa Dembele, a.k.a. Sarr Torre, a.k.a. Sarboy, in the past. Do you think that Papa Sarr has the chance to pave a spot in the squad in the first team in future?
100%. Pape Sarr is a revelation. It almost reminds me of a young Yaya Toure. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, Sarr.
No. Yeah.
Sarr Toure, that's a new one. I think he was fantastic against AC Milan. You're playing against European giants at the San Siro. It's no easy game. And I believe he's got the technical ability. He always looks calm and composed on the ball. He's looking to play forward. His engine in the midfield is brilliant. He seems like he's got a bit of everything. I don't want to get too carried away, but when we first signed him, people were saying he could be the man. The people like Man City were sniffing around him. He could be the golden boy. And you know what? There is a chance he could live up to that expectation. I think he needs to be eased in, but he's definitely got an opportunity now with the likes of Bissouma being injured, Bentancur. So, yes, I'm really excited. I don't see why he couldn't. Maybe because we don't play free in the midfield, it'll be hard for him at the start of next season as well. But if he carries on playing the way he is and maybe chips in with a couple goals or creative assists, who knows? Maybe he will be in that starting 11 next year.
Look, I think he's got a golden opportunity. Even with Bissouma's injury, he's got at least a month's worth of games there to be able to, nail down a spot and pave a way for himself at this football club going forward. He'll get the game time to do so. Jamesy boy, what makes Bentancur such a great midfielder for Spurs is that he has fabulous close control as well as confidence to carry the ball forward, but also that calmness, and he's positive in that midfield. When you look at our midfield options, he's most positive. Do you think Papa Sarr, a.k.a. Sarr Torre, a.k.a. Moussa Dembele, can he replace, what Bentancur, what we're missing through Bentancur's injury?
Being honest, not directly, just because I think Bentancur naturally can get forward and his passing range is fantastic. And obviously defensively, he can put in a big tackle, maybe sometimes a bit too strong like Christian Romero does. But from what I've seen so far of Sarr, I see him more as you've just said, as a Moussa Dembele. Obviously, Moussa Dembele was much more defensive. However, in his earlier days at Tottenham, he did like to get forward and he was almost playing behind a striker at one point. But I don't see Pape Sarr as being Bentancur and getting forward. I saw him getting forward more against AC Milan. He kind of drove forward more, didn't he, when he got the ball, rather than passing it a little bit earlier, which he has been doing in his other games. So maybe Conte or Stellini is going to tell him to drive forward a bit more today and get into the West Ham half a little bit more. But from his first couple of games, especially against Palace when he came on, and I think it was Portsmouth in the FA Cup he played, he was sort of getting the ball and passing it wide or to the wing backs pretty soon after he won the ball from a tackle. So I think his progressive play may be developed further today if he gets asked to drive forward more. However, I don't think he's quite a Bentancur in the fact that he can contribute to goals as much and contribute to more attacking play.
Interesting. And let us know in the comments whether you disagree with James or not. Personally, I disagree. I think I like how I see from Papa Sarr. I think there's definitely more to come from the kid, and I do think he'll start contributing maybe a bit more going forward. But good to see you in the building, Tim Man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Same as Iceman. We've got 24C as well. He says Dave Sarr isn't starting, apparently. Interesting. We'll wait and see on that, my man. It's a shame if he's not. I never got that stat off you on Twitter, by the way. I haven't forgotten, so make sure you send it over to me today, brother. Wayne Bonner also says Sarr is the bollocks. He's going to be massive for us. He'll do a job in midfield and free up the wing-backs to actually attack better. Colin Turner and a few other people are agreeing with Jack about Emerson. Absolutely love that, guys. Faz Radfar also says Sarr would be our best midfielder if he continues to get started until the end of next season. Until the end of the season, he is a special talent, top signing. Don Para Tici, absolutely love that. And we've got Cockeyed Steve in the house. Says, you know where you heard the Sasa one first, Dave. I got another one. Papa Saros Rex, Papasaurus
Papasaurus.
Rex. Absolutely love that. Big up, Cockeye Steve. He's all over the Sarr names. Absolutely love that. Jacko. A lot of fans also had praise for Skippy's performance at the San Siro. Do you think he proved some doubt was wrong, or is that speaking too soon? And, it kind of goes into what 24C says. He says potentially Skippy's starting ahead of him today.
Yeah, I heard Paul O'Keefe maybe put a tweet out, Dave, that Skippy could be getting the nod today. And I'm a bit maybe perplexed by that because I feel like maybe the reasoning is, again, similar to Ben Davies, because Skipp maybe knows more about this derby. It might mean more to him. He kind of knows the context behind it a bit better than Papa Sarr does. Also, as well, he has played in big games before, maybe actually more big games than Papa Sarr has. So there is also that maybe to be said as well. And if you really wanted some hard-hitting tacklers, some people to really set the tone, in the game, Skippy is capable of doing that. He's kind of one of those players I've said before, Dave, where he's not maybe the flashiest or the sexiest, but he is a guy that's going to put on like a hard hat before the game and lay down some concrete and, do all the hard work that no one else wants to do really in the game. And sometimes that calls for, a player. There is a spot for those kind of guys. And I think Skippy is happy to do it. I think Højbjerg is also one of those players too. But what I would say is I agree with King Hoddle. Could it be a bit of a boring marriage between the two in this game? Like, is that enough creativity? Maybe we're going to ask Højbjerg to be a bit more creative because I feel like Skippy doesn't really do all that great when he is asked to go a bit further forward. He's probably best just to sit deeper. So maybe you just have Højbjerg kind of make some of those Viking runs forward from time to time. But I kind of wish I'd rather be Højbjerg and Papa Sarr. But I do think Skippy played well enough maybe to kind of silence some of the haters to a degree because I mean, I could see why he was criticized heavily, but I do think maybe we were getting a little ahead of ourselves at the same time as well. Like, we all know that he still has a lot of development to do, and he is by no means like just another Harry Winks like people have put him. I think that's just way too ridiculous. So I think he still has a potential of having a spot in this club for the future for sure.
Spurs fans getting ahead of themselves? Surely not, Jack. Surely
Oh, well,
not.
that's, I get ahead of myself every day. I even got ahead of myself saying maybe he silenced the haters. I know the haters probably do not even feel silenced at all yet. I mean, it's just one game. So,
one point very, very quickly is I would say is before Bentancur joined the sort of start of last season, we were playing Højbjerg Skipp, weren't we? And it did work some games. I remember going to a game, I think it was a night game, Tottenham, Brentford. We won 2-0 and these two played very well together, actually. So people are saying it may be a bit of a boring marriage, but actually it has worked. I know it's like a case of, Dyer has worked before sometimes, but I don't know. I just think he's probably gone for a more safe option because they have played together before. What do you guys think?
Look, I think they're very similar in what they do. I'm worried about getting the ball into the forward area or consistently good quality ball into the forward area from that midfield. I think Skipp, he had a decent game the other day in Milan, but there's a lot of times where he was nervous on the ball. Some of the passes were under hit, some of them were over hit, some of them were off target. And I do worry about this in today's game. I think when I looked at Sarr, there's one moment the ball came to him without even looking. He just put it out to the right-hand side. And that's what these forwards need. That's what they thrive off. Quick ball into them so that they can get at their man early, not slow, repetitive play. The reason why Skipp and Højbjerg didn't look too bad last year is because we were watching Højbjerg and fucking Winks. That's why. All we wanted was a bit of competitiveness and aggression in midfield. Bringing in Skipp alongside Højbjerg bought that. But when Bentancur came in, is when we started scoring a lot of goals, because he was able to progress it from the midfield. For me, I'll worry about this partnership. I think Papa Sarr done enough to prove that he should start today. I thought he was better on the night than Ollie Skipp. And I do worry about this midfield. Young Jacko, where are you at with it, man?
I think that the only saving grace is that Højbjerg has chipped in with a few goals this season, and we've seen before he has got a good delivery on him. He can play balls through the line, and I think if Skipp sits and Højbjerg is allowed the license to go forward, it could be a better partnership than some people think. But that's looking at it from a very optimistic point of view, because I was a massive fan of Sarr, and I would have liked to see him start today. But I don't think Skipp played terrible at the San Siro. I thought it was quite impressive, and I think maybe we need a bit of that vigour in the midfield against Rice and Souček. So I don't think it's an awful decision, especially if Sarr maybe comes off the bench if it's not going well. I can understand why Conte and Stellini went for this choice.
Yeah, look, I can understand the thinking behind it. I'm just a bit worried about how we're going to get the ball into the forward line, quality of ball. But look, like I said, I definitely understand it. Let's move on to another contentious talking point today, Sonny. Before we start, I know we have to put the disclaimers out there because it seems to be a very taboo subject when it comes to some because of his loyal following. Fully understand it, but at the end of the day, it's something that's creeped up. And we got to talk about it. Does Sonny deserve to be dropped today? Now, I know Alistair Gold believes Antonio Conte does plan to rest Son, so it'll be interesting to see whether that is the case. So, look, we'll start with you, James, on this. Sonny has been given a lot of time this season to come back to an elite level of consistency, but has struggled to be ruthless. He's only got, 4 goals to his name this season in the Premier League. You've got Danjuma back in there now looking hungry. You've got Richarlison back from injury. Lucas Moura, even though I don't believe he's going to play, but he's back from injury. Has it come to a point now, whereas you could argue earlier on the season didn't have the players to drop some, but now we do. And does he need to be dropped?
And this goes back to my previous point I made about substitutions and Conte. I feel like he keeps it very safe in terms of what the general thought is from the fan base. But actually, at the moment, it's the opposite. I think a lot of people will agree with me in saying, I think that Richarlison needs to start a game. Sonny needs that rest. And he needs to kind of fight for his position again. Whereas at the moment, he feels safe and he feels like he's going to play every game. And like you said, Dave, you've got to be careful what you say about Son, and I absolutely love the guy, don't get me wrong. But if I'm saying that I think Son needs to rest, and I think he needs to get dropped for Richarlison, then I'm pretty sure most of the rest of the fan base would agree with me. And in the fact that Richarlison's form in the World Cup was formidable. It was fantastic. He was one of Brazil's best players. He's come back. He had a bit of an injury. He's come back. He's ready on the bench. And he's hardly even getting put on for 10 minutes of games. I mean, how can you make an impact when you're getting thrown on in the last 10 minutes of a game? And sometimes we've lost the game by that point. I think you have to start Richarlison today. He has to just take I don't even think it's a risk at this point. Son has been so poor this year. It's really, really hard to see. The drop-off from last season is incredible. I think we saw it when he came off the bench against Leicester. He seemed eager. He seemed like he was like, I'm the king here. Why don't we do it again? Why is Conte not going to drop him? I can't see it. I honestly can't see him dropping him today. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I would start Richarlison.
Interesting. And Jack, where are you at with maybe even Son and Richarlison coming in? Because with me, again, I found myself disagreeing with James a lot today. But Richarlison, for me, I think, he had a little extended period there earlier on in the season. And it was muchness. As soon as the ball came to him, he got dispossessed or he lost the ball and it came back the other way. So, where are you at with Sonny? But, do you hear my point on Richarlison or would you give him the opportunity?
Yeah, I personally think Richarlison deserves the opportunity just because I think it's natural to have a bit of rotation. Everyone knows Pep Roulette. You see, he's got world-class players at his disposal, but he's starting Jack Grealish over Phil Foden, who is one of the most exciting players in the world, in my opinion, right now. He loves to chop and change. And the only thing I'd say is I think Richarlison was being started out wide on the right, and I don't think that's his natural position. I think he plays better off the left or centrally. So I think he deserves that opportunity to have a go. I think Son needs a bit of rest and get him fired up for that Chelsea game. And we've seen him come on and score a hat-trick where me and James were at, and he played fantastic off the bench. So I just think it's natural. He needs a rest. Give Richarlison a chance. We paid 60 million for a player, and we know he's got the quality, and it's in his favourite position. If you start him on the left and he has another bad game, then there's no excuse. Son deserves to play. Stellini and Conte see it day in, day out. There's a reason why they keep choosing Son. But as fans, give us the reassurance. We spent money. We want to see what Richarlison can do. And I think today's the right time to see that.
And one more point, Jack, and one more point, Dave. You said about we gave him a little run out before the World Cup, but do you not go off the fact that you play a player based on his form? And of course, the World Cup's now 2 months ago, but since he had not a great run in the 11 before the World Cup, surely let's see what he's made of after he's had a bit of a up on the World Cup. No,
look, I agree with you've got to play players based on form. But if you have other players there who has been given the chance and hasn't taken that opportunity, then I automatically go back to the guy that's produced it in that position year in, year out. And the reality is, as much as I like Richarlison, I never wanted him in here to play either side of that central position. For me, you've got to play him in the middle. Do what he done against Marseille. Get the ball out wide, get it in the box, let that fucker go and attack it. That's what he's best at. That's what Brazil done a lot of times. Get the ball out wide, put it across, let Richarlison go and attack it. That's where he's best. And at the end of the day, you know, we can't get into this position again where you're giving players 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games to get going. At a club like Tottenham Hotspur, it's up to you to come in and hit the ground running. It's up to you to take every opportunity going. We're like I said, we're not a social club. We're a football club. I care about the football. If other players have been given the opportunity and they haven't taken it, and then tough shit, you know. Look, Danjuma is one that hasn't been given the opportunity, and I would give it to Danjuma. Like I was saying earlier on, for me, the way we're playing at the minute, with us not having an answer to them taking Kane out of the equation and having no other player in there to do creativity, Son's having to drop deep to get on the ball, but he keeps trying to do too much. He keeps trying to get turned. He doesn't have the strength to do it. So I would rather someone like Danjuma who can lay it off to the centre midfielder, lay it back to the centre back, lay it off to the wing back that's running either side of him, which Son is refusing to do. Look, if Richarlison gets his chance, I'll be behind him today. But then he's got to learn lessons from the last games that I saw him, where the ball comes in, it's a heavy touch, he's running into trouble, running down blind alleys. That shit has to stop if he gets the opportunity. He's got to also show me that he's learned from them days in them positions. But Kanikalenko, where are you at with it? And maybe ask TT Tone here as well. Says Son needs to add to his game to compensate for when he's not scoring. And this is something we alluded to on the fan show.
Yeah, I think we got to let Jack go here though first. He's headed off to the game here. He said in the private chat. Were we looking for Richie or for Sonny starting today, Jack? And also thanks for joining us today.
No worries. It's been a pleasure as always. I'm glad to be able to chat with you, Jack and Dave, again. It's been great. I would reckon Richie should start today. I'd love to see him get a goal. Sonny's one of my favourite players. We all love him. We know the quality he possesses, so I'd love nothing more to see him rediscover that form we still know he has. But I say give Richie the opportunity, and I'm also going to go with a convincing 3-1 Spurs win today. A bit of optimism around the club. I want to see this Tifo and Harry Kane being applauded for the amazing striker he is. So I'm looking forward to getting down there. But yeah, as always, thank you very much for having me on.
No, thanks very much for coming on. Look forward to seeing the match blog as well. So
yeah,
hopefully we can get that up.
Top man. I'm sure,
you doing a blog, Jack? You doing a blog today?
Well, if anyone wants to see it, it's on Spurs related. I did one in Milan. So yeah, feel free. Yeah, check it out if you like.
If you can get a sneaky West Ham jibe in there somewhere along the line, just to keep me happy, my man.
I'll try my best just for you, Dave.
See you, Jack. Enjoy
your time. For your service. Thank you. See ya.
I'm so jealous of him. It's like he gets to go to every game. It's
he's
really
got a season ticket. He's got a season ticket.
He's doing something right. If I had a season ticket at 18, I'd be applauding myself. Good up, big up, Nick. Good to see you. Says morning, Davo. Morning, Jacko. Morning, Jimmy James, and morning, other guy on the left. His name is also Jack. Nick, too confusing for your time of the morning. Too confusing, my man. So we just called Jacko now. Kanikalenko when the other Jack is on. But Jack, where are you at with the Sonny one, my man, before we move on?
Yeah, I agree. It's been kind of a very sensitive subject. I understand why. It's someone who's, fully coys. He's always, played well for us. He's one of the long servants for Spurs that, deserves, time and deserves respect from us. But at the same time, it's not like, we all want, Sonny to fail or anything like that. That's where it's gotten a little bit frustrating, is I think people just want to see us maybe set up in the best way we possibly can for these opponents. And recently, with how Sonny's been playing, some of us might think it might be better just to go with some new blood, just go with some new perspective, go with a new face, just a new face out on the left wing, just see if that, maybe changes things. If it doesn't, maybe a lot of people were probably proven right that it really isn't Son that's the problem. And I don't even think anybody is saying that Son is the problem by any stretch. I think they're just trying to say that we just need to try something different. And he is one of the few players that we never seem to rotate. And he is also one of the players that when we do maybe try to, give reasons to rotate, it's met with a lot of hostility and it's met with a lot of, kind of backlash. And I just think it's time to maybe just come to, realization that we just need to try it. Just try it. Like, and if it gets, if it doesn't work out and it turns out that maybe we're just as bad or even worse, without Sonny, I think a lot of people will be happy and proven right. It's just that we have to try something different. We can't persist with the same thing. And another thing, just quickly, Dave, I do feel like, and I know I might be slaughtered for this, so this is my opinion, but everyone's get ready to slaughter me. Please don't slaughter Dave. But I do feel like criticizing Antonio Conte seems to be fair game. Criticizing Harry Kane seems to be fair game. Criticizing Højbjerg is fair game. Criticizing Emerson is fair game. Criticizing almost anything at Spurs seems to be fair game. It does sometimes see that even when you're just asking for Sonny just to be dropped for one game, it doesn't seem to be a fair game type criticism. It's not met with the same type of like balanced, kind of back and forth discussion about whether that's the right idea. Even if you disagree with whether Sonny should be dropped or not, even if you vehemently disagree with Sonny being dropped, it does seem like it's not as easy of a conversation to have as it is when we're criticizing Conte or when we're criticizing Kane or other players. So that's my last little point. And I know I didn't answer your question very much, Dave, but I kind of felt like getting slaughtered. I kind of felt like getting slaughtered.
No, I agree with what you're saying. It does seem to be, a taboo to talk about Sonny. Last season, everyone absolutely ridiculed Kane. And then, look, some Son fans hopped on it and tried to, this is why Son's better than Kane and fight for his place in the hierarchy at Tottenham, when at the end of the day, it's cemented anyway. And Kane, so is Kane's. We should be appreciating the two of them and not, playing them off each other. Saying that, the fact that Kane, stopped scoring, but he was asked different questions and he can provide the creativity, whereas Son has maybe failed this season, I think that probably answered the question where Kane is probably better than Son. But I'm not getting into that today.
Yeah, you're asking to be slaughtered, Dave.
No, you just threw that in at the
Dave
end.
now. Dave just took it to a new level there. Everybody jump on him.
I'm still bitter.
What I would say is, we all love Sonny and we absolutely want the best for him. And it just has felt like when we've just been asking just for him to be rotated, or just the conversation of him being rotated has not been an easy conversation. And would that be the same if we were talking about Antonio Conte? Would that be the same when we're talking about Harry Kane? Would that be the same if we're talking about other players? It doesn't seem that way. And so that's all I'm asking for.
And I just want to add as well, just onto the back of that.
Just fair ground. Just let's make it be fair ground, like fair play. Yeah.
But when we have these conversations, right, we don't enjoy having these conversations when it comes to Son about dropping a player. But we do when it comes to like Dyer and stuff, because they give us reason every single week to be able to have them conversations. But when it comes to someone like Sonny, we're at a situation now where it's team first amongst any name in the squad. Even if it was Harry Kane right now, we're at a position where you've got to put the team first. And if a change is necessary for Tottenham Hotspur, it's necessary. We're not saying drop Son for long-term, sell him, this, that, and the other. But it has got, Jack is right, it has got to the point where you have to make that change just to freshen up personnel-wise, because it's just not working. And that's where we're at with it. I don't want anyone to get this mixed up where it's like, the Irish Hotspur are talking about Son being useless. Not the case. I'm making this clear now. We literally just want to see if things are going to be any better. If we can be, create a few goals, over the next couple of games or even today. But we won't know until we get the answer. And I know some fans will say, but Son had an incredible run from this game up until the end of the season, last season, where he got, I think, over 10 Premier League goals, if not more, that contributed to his run of 23 games. And that could be the case that he might pick up his form. But, sometimes a player does need just a little bit out of the team to kind of kick himself up again and get him going and give him something to fight for again, is what I would say. I just want to make it clear, we don't hate Son, but for the better of the team today, I do think a change needs to be made. James?
Dave, I know why you're saying this as well. Like, I don't want to keep going over it either, but I mean, when we posted the vlog from when me and Jack mentioned we both went to that Leicester game and we watched Son come on and score a hat-trick, I said at the start of the video when we were walking to the game, I think Son should be dropped today. It might be for the best. He might come on and make an impact off the bench. Of course, I didn't predict him to score a hat-trick off the bench in 9 minutes. But I said I reckon it would do him good to be dropped. And in the comments, rather than people go, wow, that was a good call, I can't believe you're hating on Son for saying he should have been benched. And I'm just sat there thinking, hang on a minute. That was a good thing he got benched that day, because thank God he did, because we won 6-2.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, it is. It just does seem to be a bit of a taboo subject. Not going to get into this. So I'm going to get the boys, to get score predictions and that. I will answer this. He says, Son is genuine world-class player on his own. He brings 11 million fans from Korea. He's increased the profile of the club. What does Harry Kane bring? I mean, he only broke Jimmy Greaves' record there last week, so I think that pretty much answers what Harry Kane brings, which is goals, which is most important.
The top goal scorer of Spurs' history.
Best player in Spurs' history, most goals in Spurs' history. He also brings a fan base like me, the Harry Kane hardcore fans. Again, here's the difference. Kane had to adapt his game last season. What's the answer? Well, he came back, he started spraying balls around like De Bruyne. Son's at that point now. What's Son's answer been? Just putting it out there. I don't want to get into this where Kane v Son, but I'm just putting it out there that
to be fair, you did bring up the Kane v Son. You did.
Yeah, I know. And I done it on purpose because I still hold on to all the grudges last year when they went at Harry Kane. I'll be honest, I still got my checklist there. I refuse to throw it out. But at the end of the day, I know I'm just having a bit of fun. I do like poking the hornet's nest at time, but at the end of the day, Kane showed a different side to his game, and now that's what we need from Sonny. We need him to show that different side of the game now. We need him to learn to deal with having to pick up the ball deeper and get turned, this, that, and the other, while we're playing the system we play. That's where I'm at with that. But look, it's only a bit of banter. I'm just poking the hornet's nest while it's there. Because to be fair, last year I had to sit there for about 6 months and I got absolutely battered about Harry Kane. And I've been nice when it's come to Sonny this season. I've even backed him to the hilt. But I just thought I'd let a little bit out there today, a little bit. But look, guys, we're going to get some... Look, just quickly as well, there is a conversation that maybe Kulu hasn't done enough on the other side and that he should be dropped as well, lads.
Yeah, that's actually the point I was trying to also bring up. It's like for rotating Sonny, I don't think anybody's saying Sonny is the problem. I think we're just kind of bringing up the argument of we just need to rotate some new faces into the team and see if that helps us out. Same thing, I think, as argued about Kulusevski, where like Kulusevski is starting to kind of, not produce very much, starting to not be that creative outlet that we need. Perhaps we need a new change of blood over there. Perhaps we need a new face over there as well on the right to sort of switch things up. And this has happened to Kulusevski in the past, where he starts to kind of come off the boil a little bit, and then Antonio Conte kind of gives him that quick refresh or kind of just takes him out for, a game or something like that. And that has done well for Kulusevski. So I would say is if he does start today and he doesn't have a great game, I would consider resting him or dropping him for the next match because he's also kind of not been very impressive at recent. So him too. Yeah. Similar argument. I think similar argument.
Similar argument. And look, at the end of the day, I do hope if one of them do get rested today or drop, whatever way you want to term it, I do hope that, one of them come off the bench, whether it be a Kulu, whether it be a Son, and come on and score goals. Because at the end of the day, that's why we have these conversations, right? Because we just want to see better out of these guys. And that's why I think it is healthy to have these conversations, because they set the standards and we expect them to be up there every single week. And sometimes when they fall below it, we get frustrated. So, hopefully that one of them, whoever does hit to see the bench today, hopefully they'll come on and have an impact, because that's the whole idea behind it in the first place. So, look, and at the end of the day, we need everybody, all hands on deck today if we want to be able to beat West Ham. So, look, we're going to go around, get everyone's score predictions. Let Jamesy plug Spurs related as well. James, what's your score prediction and what's coming up on Spurs related?
Sure, my score prediction is Tottenham 3, West Ham 1. I'm going with what Jack said as well.
You said you wouldn't give a Dave score prediction earlier on.
That's not brave. 3-1.
No, a Dave score prediction. You said earlier on you weren't going to predict the massive scoreline, and now here you are.
A Dave score prediction.
I guess the pre-match bump up has done its job.
Yeah. The pre-match bump up put me from a 2-1 to a 3-1.
Happy clappers have taken their toll on you.
Yeah, the Harris Army's done their job on me. I think Dave score prediction is like a 4-1 or a 5-1, but no, I'm going 3-1. I'm feeling confident today. I feel like West Ham really aren't that good. That's why they're 18th in the table. And there was a couple of negative comments earlier about, West Ham is no easy feat. And I do agree with that. But they're 18th in the league, let's be honest. And they've been very, very poor, awful to watch as well. So I'm going 3-1. I think we're going to get the fans behind us today. I think it's going to be a good atmosphere there. It always is in a game like that, as you guys have experienced. And And I'm going to go even with your goal scorers. I'm going to go Harry Kane loves a goal against West Ham. He's getting 2.
So
And I'm saying that Son is going to not start the game, I think. And I think he's going to come off the bench and get 1. And then it's going to be all forgotten about. And then Son will be starting the next game. I think that's what's going to happen.
I actually believe Son has like 7 goals and 7 assists in like 14 league games or something against West Ham. He's actually got a good record against them.
Yeah. Kane and Son both love a goal against West Ham. So that's why I'm going with them two to get the goals. For them, couldn't care less. They're going to lose. They're going to be crying on their way back to Stratford today. So absolutely love it. And yeah, guys, if you do want to help out the channel, Spurs related, I think the guys have put the link in. We've got a vlog coming out today, Jack. Absolutely, everyone's loving the vlog. I feel like I've become the sort of back end of Spurs related now. It's like the Jack takeover. But everyone's loving the vlog. He got like 6,000-7,000 views, which is crazy for our channel. So go and check that one out of the San Siro. Jack was loving it. You know, flexing, eating his pizza with his sunglasses on. It was a great watch, to be fair. But I mean, lucky prick. Yeah, we want to bring the quizzes back. We want to bring all that good stuff back. But the vlogs are the one we're really pushing at the moment. So and mainly thanks guys for inviting me on. It's been a while, hasn't it? So be good to be back.
Look,
we tied you down.
It's been great to have you back and even have Jack with us as well. You know, hopefully we see you guys on more of these going forward. You know, I really enjoy streaming with you two guys. You're absolute gentlemen. So thanks very much for today. I really appreciate it. Let's get some other score predictions and then we'll get Jack on, we'll get mine, and then we will end off. KPV's the man in a quiz.
There you go.
Love that. Let's get the score predictions in here. Some bloke has gone 0-0. Look, wouldn't surprise me. We're performing. Welsh Gal has gone with 3-1, but she hasn't said either way. That's sneaky, Welshie. That's sneaky. You haven't said either way. Nah, she's always going to go Spurs' way, 100%. Wayne Bonnery's gone 4-0. I did see you saying in the comments you don't know whether you're going to go to a local or not to watch it. Get fucking down there, man. Look at the weather over here in a minute. Get down there and enjoy it. He's gone 4-0. Absolutely love that. Ellie has gone 4-2. She also gave up her ticket for the nephew to go today. I'll be honest. I would have taught my nephew a life lesson. I'd say, look, this is the joys of being an adult. I can buy a ticket, so you're going to have to watch the game from home. But you're too generous. You did give it to the nephew. You let him go, and you're staying at home with Theo and Angeles so to watch the game. So hopefully we get the win for you, Ellie, my dear. Sue Smith is gone with 2-1 purely because I can't bet against my own team. Absolutely love that. Tequila's gone with a 2-0. Spurs 1-4-1.
Pick up Jody.
Has gone 2-1 Spurs. Stevie Fraser has gone 1-0. Era of tomorrow has gone with 2-0. Absolutely love that. Jacko, what's your score prediction, my man?
Just quickly as well, I believe Bobby K left a flat cap member super chat. Big yourself up, my friend. He says, big up boys and everyone in the chat. Come on, you Spurs. Big yourself up, Bobby K, flat cap member. And then for me, Dave, score prediction. I'm going to maybe go with the scoreline that we had the whole time. You know, the one we had, you know, from the very beginning, the 3-1, the one that we're used to, the one that started this whole Irish Hotspur derby in the first place, Dave. It's the scoreline that I'm familiar with, going with the 3-1. I'd say Harry Kane brace, and I'm kind of with James, where I have maybe, you know, I don't think I honestly slated anybody today, but, you know, just to, you know, make fun of myself, I'll say that I did. And I'll say that Sonny proves me wrong, and he starts today and he gets the goal, and it goes against all the narrative and it goes against everything we say today. So maybe Sonny and Kane with the goals. I like James's prediction.
Interesting. Jackson in a defiant mood today. Love it. Love it. Look, for me, I'm going to go 2-1. For me, it's just about getting over the line. I do think we're going to be nervous. It's going to be a very tight affair. West Ham don't concede much. We concede a lot, but West Ham don't score much, and we do score goals. Maybe not of late, but we do score goals. So I think this one is going to be a very tight affair. I think it could go either way. But at the end of the day, it's the Irish Hotspur derby. We're up against the Tin Pot Crime Merchants, aka Barney enthusiasts and Bubble enthusiasts. So look, for me, I'm always going to front this one, regardless, even if we're ever shitting on West Ham. I'll always front this one up because I do not like them. Sorry to burst your bubbles, the Hammers out there, but I'm going Tottenham 2-1. I'm going to go Harry Kane with the brace. Hopefully that does happen. Adrian Chia says Harry Kane is an icon now and always for Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Honestly, couldn't think of a better way to end the show. if anyone wants a sneaky bet, I've got a bet, and the only reason why I brought it up is because I seen something last night. It's like Tottenham have gone 21 home games without a draw this season, and I think it's these two teams have never drawn both games in a season. Of course, the first one went to a draw. So I would say everything's telling you it's not going to be a draw, and I like to go against it. So stick a fiver on the game being a draw today. You might be able to claw some money back, but I am going 2-1. Guys, we have to head out now. We'll see you all back here at 4 p.m. for the watch along, myself, Jack, and Sean. And then Jacob will be running a fan show after the game if you guys want to come on and have your say. As always, come on,
you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Conte, I trust.
Come
See
on.
everybody.
And Stellini today. And Stellini, I trust, just for today.
See you later, guys.